early Thursday morning. Warmer Thursday at 87 in the afternoon, but the humidity remains low. Let's be ready for a few spotty showers Friday afternoon and evening with scattered storms this weekend. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
There's a lot to talk about today, St. Louis. Let's get the conversation started. This is Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
First and foremost, let me start out by saying everybody who joined us last night at the Scheidegger Center, thank you so much for coming out to witness that debate, and especially to those of you who sent in questions. What did you think? Send me some notes on social media. Give me a call here in a little bit, 314-912-1019. Curious what you make of what the candidates had to say and maybe which way you're leaning in that race for St. Charles County Executive. Well, good morning. Happy Wednesday. Mike Ferguson here. Speaking of elections, big primary elections last night. We're going to review what happened, particularly in California. Interesting stuff. What do you think about that? All right. But from California to Missouri here and also to Illinois, the Assembly just finished their 2026 session, and they did a lot of damage. As you would imagine with a left-wing run government that doesn't understand basic economics. So Ted Dabrowski, he was the founder of WirePoints. Obviously, you may remember him from his campaign for governor a little bit ago. He joined us on Tuesday's program, kind of assessing from a policy perspective what just happened and what are the likely implications of it. And, well, here's what Ted had to say. The monster that is government in Illinois decides to spend more money, and that means it has to consume more money.
It's just absolutely insanable, isn't it?
Record-breaking year.
Wow.
Normally when you say record-breaking year, you're like, oh, great, what do we win? Record-breaking year is not a good thing this time around.
Yikes.
Good Lord. All right. We're now visiting with Ted Dabrowski. He was the founder of WirePoints news service. Obviously, you may remember his run for governor this past year as well. And so Ted, we're talking about record-breaking year, but we're talking about record-breaking spending, record-breaking budget, which means the money has to come from somewhere. If you had to rate the fiscal responsibility from a perfect 10, they're fiscally responsible, to a minus 100, what the heck are you thinking? Where do you assess the Assembly right now?
All right. Well, hey, first, thanks for having me on. Look, I've been covering these budgets for quite a while now at the Illinois Policy Institute before, the WirePoints, and of course now. And it's just the same story every time. So let me see if it's kind of like Groundhog Day, but record budget. Well, it was a record budget last year and the record budget the year before. We've been growing our spending year after year after year. And of course, as you're saying, the taxes keep going up. And so this is no different than all these other previous budgets. Record spending, record taxes. This time they avoided direct taxes on people, but they raised taxes by around $1 billion. And even if it's on corporations and stuff like that, it always ends up being the ordinary guy who pays those taxes anyway. So this is another bad budget. But let me say this. I stopped measuring these budgets based on all the individual numbers. I just tend to look at what's happening to our economy in Illinois. And we have the fifth worst growth. Since Pritzker took over, we have the fifth worst growth rate in the country, economic growth. We have the fifth worst job creation in the country, the sixth worst wage growth in the country, and we're 2 or 3 on out-migration of people. And that's kind of how you really need to measure, how's it going for the people? And, that's a few of the stats that people are just getting destroyed in Illinois.
And the follow-up to that is, well, why are they leaving? Obviously, an opportunity would be one of those if there's a better opportunity somewhere else. But at what point do even Democrats have to recognize all of these harsh taxes matter? You talk about, we're talking about over $800 million in tax increases. Now, you pointed out, okay, so maybe that's not like an income tax increase. What's being taxed and what's going to become more expensive in Illinois to fund all of this?
Well, all right, so let's bet, why are people leaving, right? Of course, it's the highest property taxes in the country, the second or third highest gas taxes in the country, the highest cell phone taxes in the country. Chicago has the highest sales tax in the country. I mean, it just goes on. And they keep getting away with it because they keep giving out money. They take this money, they give it out to constituent groups that vote for them. So the game continues, even as we lose people and all that. But, this time around, they're going to tax digital ads. You're going to do a social media tax on the big social media companies. They're limiting how much companies can deduct from their operating losses of the past. They're doing just a bunch of taxes like they always do. They typically do sin taxes is what they've been doing in the last few years. Gambling and cigarette and of course cannabis and stuff like that. So they've been diversifying where they tax because they're trying to they already know they have troubles with income tax and property taxes. So they're trying all different kinds of taxes, which eventually hit people anyway.
Yeah, so obviously the taxpayers and the businesses are the losers, but who's the winner? Who are the winners in all of this? Because we're talking about record government spending. The money's going to go somewhere. Who wins in all this?
Oh, the winner's always Pritzker and the Democrats, because what they do is they turn around and then over the next year they'll hand out all kinds of grants to all kinds of aggrieved groups who are suffering something, and they hand out 10 million here, 20 million there, 30 million here, and it's effectively vote buying, and that's what happens. So they just hand out all this money. They increase money for the public unions. They're the big winners because they get more money. More money goes to the failed school districts. And this is a cycle that's been perpetuated for a long time. What's interesting about this time, though, is that they couldn't get their ducks in a row. Things like the Bears Stadium became very difficult because everybody knows what's happening with affordability in Illinois and the taxes and the gas taxes and all that. And so now these guys, Pritzker and others, couldn't be seen as giving away money to the billionaire Bears. And, they showed their incompetence just now because they couldn't get a deal done.
Yeah, and so are we looking at the possibility? I mean, obviously in St. Louis, we lost the Rams all those years ago, and now Missouri is losing the Kansas City Chiefs. Is it actually realistic to think that the Bears could relocate, or is it just out of Chicago, or could they go somewhere else?
I'm not privy to anything, of course, so all I have is gut feel from just doing all this work. Look, they could move to Indiana. You saw the Giants and the Jets. They play in New Jersey, just right over just right outside New York City, and that seems to work well. So something like that could happen, and so it wouldn't be a surprise. And I think it's all a question of how much control the Bears have over what they operate. And I know when the Giants left New York, they wanted to have a place they controlled and owned, and so that's what they did. Privately owned over there. And you're seeing privately funded stadiums happen. They happen in the Rams play in one that's privately owned. And then the Patriots do as well. So you could have a whole new model played out. But I do personally think that the Bears want to stay in Chicago, or they want to stay in Illinois. And my guess is we'll figure something out. But it sure is sloppy. And it sure is it's so incompetent. The way our Pritzker and others have acted here. And you saw how quickly Indiana operated. They showed you what a AAA rated state that's well run. That they can be decisive. They acted quickly, and they offered the Bears something. We're fumbling and can't get something together.
Yeah, was that a pun on a football play? They're fumbling so much.
Yeah, well, I didn't mean to because everybody's doing it, but it actually accidentally came out of my mouth.
Okay, so let me then follow up here because I mean, for instance, what drew the Chiefs away? The Chiefs were just having states bid with how much corporate welfare are you going to give us? How much in taxpayer money are you going to give us? So what do you think would be the right balance? And I'll go back to like your experience with Illinois Policy, who does great work here. Is at some point, what's the right balance between we definitely want to keep this multi-billion-dollar thing, which obviously has a lot of civic pride in Chicago and throughout Illinois, with, wait a minute, you're a multi-billion-dollar industry here. Why are taxpayers giving you anything? So where's that right, I guess, middle ground that should be acceptable for those who are worried about taxpayers?
Well, yeah, there's different ways to structure deals. And that last structure they passed, whatever time in the morning on Sunday, tried to create a publicly owned stadium, much like the Bears is now on Soldier Field, a stadium that's owned by the public, and then there's just a lease to the Bears. And so, what gets tricky for a guy like me, I'm a finance guy, and I've worked on a lot of transactions, and I hate not knowing what the truth is, and we'll never know the truth of what our Illinois legislature does because it's a very dishonest one, and so it's hard to know what kind of subsidies are being given away. But I've said all along, here's my statement. We should be having a mega deal property tax cut for Illinoisans. We lose a stadium or two full of people every year to outmigration. We're losing people out the wazoo. And so what we should do is come up with a deal that gives property tax relief to Illinois, property tax relief. And then that can be paired with the deal for the Bears. But, I think first and foremost, we need to take care of the people, because if we keep losing people, we're going to have a big mess. And I also think the Bears need to see that we're a legitimate state. You look at Indiana, as I said, AAA rated, well run. They're winning people. They're winning deals. They're growing. They're lowering taxes. They're thriving, and we're not. And so the Bears need to see a totally different Illinois, and make it easier to stay here, because you want to stay in a place that's growing and thriving. That's where you want to be.
Now,
So all that said, I think there's a deal that has to be done for the people first. Start with a 5% or 10% tax rebate, property tax rebate across the state, and then talk about a Bears deal.
We're visiting with Ted Dabrowski, founder of WirePoint's news service. And Ted, you did mention a lot of the taxes, including the gas taxes. The Assembly actually did look at, they did actually pass some kind of suspension of the gas tax. What did they pass? And is that good policy? Because that's the money that pays for the roads and the bridges.
Well, just excuse me for my sarcasm, whatever, but whoop-de-doo. It stops a 1.3 cent increase in the tax hike that's coming in July. So the taxes are not going to go up by 1.3 cents. Look, Illinois now has the second or third highest gas taxes in the country. And we have two taxes, by the way. We have a flat tax on gas, and then we have a sales tax on gas. And as gas prices go up, it's 6.25%. So as gas prices go up, guess what? The state's getting more and more money. And that's not money. That's a windfall. They should give all that money back to taxpayers. So I'm really unexcited by what the government's doing. They should be really bringing down those gas taxes, and of course bringing down spending, because this is why they always want more money. They increase spending, as we just talked about at the beginning of the show.
Yeah, you got to feed the beast, and the beast has to consume it from somewhere, as we were just saying. All right, Ted, I know Illinois got a little different schedule, so the session is over. What's next? There's some downtime. There's a lull here for a little bit, right?
Yeah, there's a veto session in the fall, which they can take up, the Bears, for example. But I think what you're likely to see is Pritzker call a special session and bring the legislature back to discuss the Bears, because they can't leave that they can't leave that sitting there waiting. The Bears have said that they wanted to decide spring or early summer, and that's now. So if we want to compete and do something, I was saying also they should do something transparent. Bring some financial experts and tell the public what's going on. The public deserves that. When you're talking about spending billions on something like this, the public needs to know what's going on, and I don't trust the government, and nobody should.
Okay, we've got Flashback Friday coming up here in just a couple of days, so let's go ahead and get those requests started. 314-912-1019, or for the Flashback Friday request, you can just email them to Jerome or send us a note on social media. This is 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
All the information I need on the drive to work.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
I keep it on throughout the day, whether it's local, national, or something big that's happening overseas.
News, analysis, and opinion.
St. Louis is #1 for conservative talk.
News Talk STL.
1 in 4 women will have an abortion before the age of 45 in this country. That's the tragedy we must work to stop. Mike Ferguson from The Morning Show here, and that is why Reach Reproductive Health is here, to empower parents to save the lives of innocent children and to see these families come to Christ. And you can be a part of saving and changing lives. So pray and visit outreachforlife.org to learn more, volunteer, and donate. That's outreachforlife.org.
Rhino Shield is engineered to outlast paint by a lot, backed with our 25-year transferable warranty. Paint a house, shield a home. We do brick, block, stucco, asbestos, steel, aluminum, cedar, and more. We are the only coating company selected by Disney, This Old House, and 3 times on HGTV's Curb Appeal, where all 3 episodes concentrate on unpainted brick. If you maintain or own a business with a tired-looking building, you owe it to yourself to look at Rhino Shield and our beautifully durable color schemes. Evaluations are free. We're making buildings pop and be noticed again, from Champaign to the Lake of the Ozarks, exceeding expectations every day with our products, people, and performance. Now is the time to call 877-25-RHINO, 877-25-RHINO, or go to 877-25rhino.com and see how honest and transparent we really are. Tell them, ladies.
Don't pay
paint vinyl. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Concerned about the condition of your windows driving up your energy bills? I was too. It's only called STL Windows and Doors. Their Provia windows combine old world craftsmanship the professional way, the Provia way, with over 65 years of combined experience, locally owned, offering competitive pricing and personalized service that the big box companies can't match. Call today for your free in-home estimate and start saving tomorrow. 314-277-5952 or stlwindowsanddoors.com.
Lower your car payment today. Lower your car payment today. Yes, you heard us right. You can lower your car payment right now by making this free call and save up to $1,400 a year on your current car payments. Think about your current car payment right now. What's that costing you per year? Now think about what it would be like to put an extra $1,400 back in your pocket. That's the average savings our customers experience. We can help you drive the same car and pay less every month by lowering your car payment's interest rate to as low as 4.67%. At Rate Genius, we can work with you to refinance any car payment. If you qualify, it costs you nothing to find out how you can lower your car payment. To learn more, call this number right now.
800-493-5670. 800-493-5670. 800-493-5670. That's 800-493-5670.
Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All right, now that was a debate last night.
Oh, yes, it was.
Man, was that ever. I'm not going to lie. I went into that thinking, okay, this will be interesting. And, the people who are like deep dive into politics are going to be here. And then we're going to have a bunch of talking points. And then, somebody's going to finger wag at each other. Oh, my goodness. Here's one of the measures where things went really, really well. Who was I talking to after this? I think I was talking to, former state representative Tony Lavasco and his wife, Ava. We were talking afterwards, and I mentioned this to somebody else, too. I said, 90 minutes into this presentation, 90 minutes into this debate, I'm looking out, and the lights were pretty bright because, me and Susie and I were on stage. And so we can see most of the audience, but those lights are pretty bright on stage. I mean, you've been on stage. What that's like. But I can tell you this. Nobody was staring and playing at their phones, even at the end of this. They were engaged.
So I was listening in via the free NewsTalkSTL app.
How much is it?
It's absolutely free.
Free?
Yeah.
You can get that thing for free?
It's not taxpayer funded either, not government funded.
Oh, my goodness. Okay.
The goodness of our heart.
Good plug.
But I was listening in for the entire debate. I mean, you can hear the reaction of the crowd. I have not heard people get that worked up about some of these issues as I have when I was listening. So I can only imagine what the energy in that room must have been like.
It really was. It was so much more than I expected, because I expected this to be something where it's like, all right, we're gonna have a good discussion. There's going to be sound bites used everywhere. There, Channel 5 came out and covered it, which kind of surprised me. But Mark Maxwell came out and covered it, and not exactly a conservative reporter there, but they did like a couple minutes worth of a story on that. I watched a story on it this morning, and first of all, they all stuck to the issues. Now, they took jabs at each other.
Oh, yes, they did.
All three of them took jabs at each other, but they were all in the realm of, here's why I think your policy is wrong. There was one reference to like throwing puppies out the door. So I didn't get that whole thing, but other than that, it really stuck to the differences in their approaches to policy, and the role of government. Matter of fact, there was a Facebook post that I saw from somebody I'm actually not familiar with, and somebody who kind of does a local coverage in Warren County. And he said, but I went over and attended it, and I don't know the guy, but I thought he had a really good write-up. So a little bit later here, I'm just going to read his write-up of it and his assessment, because it was clearly from somebody who was from outside of St. Charles County. And I thought he did a really good job. Now, again, I don't know anything about the local reporter or Facebook page that he does, but there was a buzz about the whole thing at the end, and you normally don't get that on the local political thing. But first of all, the Hammond Institute for Free Enterprise just did a kick-ass job putting this thing together. Lindenwood University always does a high-quality, high-class job with this, and with anything they do, really. And so this really, I think, was a great service, and I was so glad we could be a part of it here at the radio station. It was such a great service to this crucial part of the St. Louis community.
Yeah, 101, good morning, by the way, 101, said, I listened on the radio. I have no horse in the race, but the debate was definitely lively, which I don't think anybody that was listening could say it was a boring debate.
No.
And the thing that really stuck out to me as well is even as they were discussing the issues, I was maybe expecting a little bit more political playing to the crowd of them having a similar take on the same issues. But you really got a better sense of what their actual personality, what their policy, what they are bringing to office, or if the incumbent wins, bringing back to office. Really was. They're not three cookie-cutter candidates. They all have distinct presence on the stage.
Yeah. So 6:05, let's go ahead and everybody have a little extra coffee here. So let's get going. Susie will be in a few minutes. And if you have an opinion on who you think won or lost or there was something stuck, hey, send us notes on it. Give me a call, 314-912-1019. I know it's early, but, go ahead and let me know what you think about that. And we've had a lot of questions. Is the audio and video going to be available? The short answer is yes. I don't think it's up now. The Hammond Institute and Lindenwood University were the presenters of this. Now, we were obviously the media partner for this, but it's gonna land somewhere there. The audio itself has already been cut, and I'm not sure where that's going to be posted, but it'll be posted somewhere today, and we'll put that out there as well, whether that's on Hammond's or whether it's ours. But, whatever the Hammond Institute decides to do with it, since they were the one that presented this.
Which, I mean, that's fantastic because I don't often like to go back and revisit things, but that is actually one of the times I would love to go back and re-listen and to be able to almost re-experience that. And if you missed it, either in person like I did, or if you, shame on you for not having the app, did not tune in, it does sound like this is going to be one of those things you're going to want to find and check out. So it was information-wise was good, but just the actual experience was phenomenal.
Yeah, that was one of the best, if not the best, local, just political stuff. Because there's a lot of times, I'll go to political stuff and I get invited to political stuff. Sometimes I speak at them and I enjoy a lot of them, but other times it's like, okay, I'm the media guy. I need to make it. I was so happy to be involved with that one yesterday. And Dan Fox from Mid Rivers and West Magazine, phenomenal job. Very, very highly intelligent and relevant questions that he brought to the table as well. Susie, of course, being a St. Charles resident, was solid on that as well. Jamie Allman did a great job moderating.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he just did a great job. I mean, you're trying to basically guide and herd, three people who are really ambitious and really working hard in this race. And so he did a really good job with that. And little wonky thing, a little media thing, we were prepared to run over a little bit if the politicians, weren't going to stop talking.
Yeah.
Jamie actually landed this plane a minute and a half early, which is
Wow.
almost unheard of in politics and in political media. So that just shows you that Jamie's a very, very good moderator. He did a great job with that.
Yeah, there's something to be said. I mean, there were times where you could tell that the person that was speaking did not want to stop, but he did a good job not interrupting them in the middle of the point, but making them cut that point shorter. And I think that's a skill that a lot of these debates that we watch nowadays is just missing from. So you guys all did a fantastic job.
Yeah, it was it was just a great event. And so, send us your thoughts on this. We're going to do a more deep dive assessment here at 6:05. I'm really curious as to, Susie's thoughts on it now that we've had the, overnight to kind of ruminate on it and let it marinate in our noggins here. So you got some thoughts on that? Let me know what you think. And then a little bit later on, one of the biggest names in political journalism out, fired, gone.
Oh.
Yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit later on, too.
The Herzog Tomorrow Foundation provides private school tuition scholarships through Missouri's new Most Scholars program to cover the cost of accessible, high-quality schooling.
Hi, this is Myella Esser with the Herzog Tomorrow Foundation. Our private school tuition scholarships wouldn't be possible without the support of generous Missouri taxpayers. If you're a Missouri taxpayer interested in redirecting your tax dollars and sending them to Missouri students in need of a better education, please contact me at herzogmostscholars.org.
Better education for students creates a better tomorrow for all. Learn how you can help provide a better education for Missouri students at herzogmostscholars.org. That's herzogmostscholars.org. Also, sign up for The Lion, an initiative of the Herzog Foundation that carries articles covering a wide range of issues facing American families and culture. herzogfoundation.com. That's herzogfoundation.com.
Tim Jones here from my great friends at Comprehensive Chiropractic, the premier chiropractic and sports performance facility in the region. How do I know? Simply put, they've helped me on many occasions. Here's another solution to your everyday aches and pains. The Studio Health and Wellness Center. Services include Pilates and yoga, both with certified instructors. I can also highly recommend the massage therapy, which is not an indulgence. It's a proven method of healing and restoration. Trust my friends at Comprehensive Chiropractic in Eureka, cchiropractic.com. That's cchiropractic.com.
Dreaming about a vacation but not sure where to start? Should you book that all-inclusive resort or a cruise? Which destination? What cruise line? And how do you know you're getting the best value? That's where Magic Expeditions comes in. We're your St. Louis local travel experts, helping you choose the vacation that fits. Whether a relaxing adults-only escape, family-friendly resort, or unforgettable cruise adventure, skip the stress, the guessing, and endless online searching. Visit magicexpeditions.com. That's magicexpeditions.com.
I'm in my late 60s. My husband died a few years ago. He did all of our taxes. I sold a piece of property last year, and I forgot to claim the proceeds of the sale. Next thing I know, I got a letter from the IRS telling me that I owe over $50,000. Now I have a huge tax problem. I don't have that kind of money. I wish I knew who to call.
If you sold property in the last calendar year or didn't claim all of your part-time or even retirement income, you could be in big trouble with the IRS. Call first before they send you a letter. If you've already got a letter, call. We'll help you file years of past tax returns and save you time and money. So call the tax doctor. The call is confidential and free.
800-240-4586. 800-240-4586. 800-240-4586. That's 800-240-4586.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
This hour from Town Hall, I'm Rich Thomason. He's the leader of the pack, at least so far. Roughly 55% of the vote counted. Trump-endorsed Republican Steve Hilton is in the lead in the California gubernatorial primary.
To every single person who voted for me, and every single person who voted in this election, whether you voted for me or not, I am here for you, for every single one of you.
Hilton could face Democrat Javier Becerra in November in the Los Angeles mayor's contest.
I just want to take a minute to tell you how much I love you so much.
Democrat incumbent Karen Bass leading as the vote count goes on, with Spencer Pratt close behind.
I'm going to continue to work hard, learn everything I need to learn, build my teams, show all the experience I'm going to surround myself with.
The latest primaries took place in a half dozen states. The U.S. Supreme Court has spoken. Alabama will be able to use a new GOP-friendly congressional map in this year's elections. The Trump administration is throwing in the towel on a proposed $1.8 billion fund to compensate those who say they were prosecuted for purely political reasons.
There was a fund. Remember, the fund wasn't set up yet. There were no commissioners named. There was no claims made yet. So, yes, we're not moving forward with the fund. I'm not sure what that means to sign documents reversing. There's nothing to reverse. We're not moving forward with the fund.
Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche asked about the matter during congressional testimony the other day. Another challenge to the fragile U.S.-Iran ceasefire, with both sides exchanging fire in the Persian Gulf once again. And Kuwait says its international airport has now partially reopened after an Iranian attack. It is a mixed picture on Wall Street at the moment. The Dow futures are down 212 points, while the NASDAQ futures are up 40 points. S&P futures down 11. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Health insurance rates are surging in America, leaving millions without affordable options. If you're sick of having paychecks eaten up by healthcare costs or dealing with mega corporations, then listen to this. Christians don't need to waste money on a broken system. That's why I want to tell you about Christian Healthcare Ministries. It's an alternative to traditional health insurance at half the cost. With CHM, fellow believers contribute monthly to help pay each other's medical bills. There's no enrollment period, so you can join anytime. And you aren't restricted to provider networks, so you choose the doctors and hospitals you want. It's that simple. CHM is not insurance. It's a ministry that puts faith into action. Feel the difference of financial support and biblical care from fellow believers. Join CHM today by visiting chministries.org/wellness. That's chministries.org/wellness.
From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
Low humidity continues to be the star of the show when it comes to the forecast. Loads of sunshine today, up to about 83 degrees this afternoon. Warm in the sunshine, very pleasant in the shade. Mostly clear skies tonight, down to about 63 for the low early Thursday morning. Warmer Thursday at 87 in the afternoon, but the humidity remains low. Let's be ready for a few spotty showers Friday afternoon and evening with scattered storms this weekend. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Business owners, download your free playbook for financial clarity at SerenityWealthBiz.com. That's SerenityWealthBiz.com. Let's get real. Here's the truth about eliminating Missouri's income tax.
I'm here with State Representative Bishop Davidson. And Bishop, you've heard the complaints about the proposal. Here's your colleague, Representative Ashley Awney.
Frankly, the only thing that this resolution does is increase sales taxes.
So what does this do and what does it not do if we say yes?
The first part of this constitutional amendment is a constitutional shall. It's a guarantee to the people of Missouri that if they vote for this, that their legislature will enact and shall enact legislation to eliminate income taxes using natural economic growth over time. That means when the economy grows, instead of it going back into the coffers of the state, it goes into the pockets of Missourians. The second part is a constitutional may. It allows the legislature to have a conversation around sales taxes, but only so that they can eliminate income taxes faster and reduce local tax rates like personal property tax and real property.
Get the facts at afpmissouri.com.
On the next
Larry Connors USA.
The story behind the story on this date, 1965. Ed White becoming the first American to walk in space.
Larry Connors USA. Now weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson.
I'm not like the rest of you. I don't make mistakes.
Susie Moore.
What you're telling me doesn't sound logical, my dear.
Get up, in case you hear the alarm.
Get up, St. Louis.
You need to get to go. I need to be able to get where you need to go to do the work.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up, this is your cousin Rob.
Okay, I'm looking at a couple comments coming in on the social media chats right now. Jay Monty says, you mean it wasn't the typical calling each other MAGA names and going off the rails? How different?
No.
That's exactly the thing.
It was not.
Let's see here. What else was said? Allison's got a question for us here, which we'll get to in just a second here as well. Thank you to hundreds of people who joined us last night on Lindenwood University's campus for that debate with the Republican candidates for St. Charles County Executive. We were just talking here in that information segment, excuse me, a second ago. And over all the years I've done media here, one of the things that happens, and I'm just going to pull the curtain back just a little bit, tell you kind of the way that media does promotional stuff, is that when your TV station or your radio station or your newspaper or whatever is involved in an event, in this case, it was a debate. Sometimes it can be like a big food drive or whatever the event is. You kind of budget your time and your energy into pre-selling it, and then the promotion, and then the actual event, and then what is often called back-selling. And you say you take that 5% or whatever, everything, and remind everybody what you did, and it was a success, and look how great you are. That's basically the formula that you will use sometimes. Mm-hmm. So the original plan was I was going to come in and, once an hour or so, we were going to mention, hey, thanks everybody for being here, show a little clip, and then move on to the bigger stories of the day. This is the story of the day. This was so much bigger than what I expected it to be. I mean, I figured you'd have, have the dedicated St. Charles County Republican base to be there, and then they had a good time, and the candidates had their say, and then we move on. This thing set the tone.
Yeah.
For the way this race is going to run, but I think it also set the tone for those on the right going into this election season, not just in St. Charles County, because the issues that were being discussed were ones that are applicable across the region.
Yes, they are. I mean, there were some very St. Charles County specific things that came up, but the issues and the underlying sentiment and momentum, that translates much broader than that.
I was mentioning a few minutes ago, Susie, that one of the gauges that you can look at to how, because I think at some point it was just, we were several minutes in. I think everybody's going, something's going on here. Something big's happening here, just as far as our local government goes. This is turning into a thing. 90 minutes in, 88 minutes in, because Jamie Allman managed to land this aircraft a minute or two early, which is
hit
amazing,
the post.
which is amazing.
He beat the post.
But we were at the end of this debate talking about data centers and property taxes and building roads and jobs and crime. At the end of this whole thing, I mean, I looked out and, those lights were pretty bright up there on the stage.
Yeah.
But nobody was looking at their phone. Nobody was distracted. Nobody was playing solitaire. They were engaged with all three of those candidates were saying.
No, I didn't hear any kind of rustling movement like we're getting ready to move to the exits until Jamie was clearly speaking his last sentence. I mean, It was clear. And we landed just about right on time. I don't think we could have gone another question round and fit it in.
No.
But there was a lot more energy than I
it was
expected
cool.
there to be.
Okay, so I do not know this person. His name is Ramiz Hakim, and he runs a Facebook page called the Warren County Community Connector. Looks like a local, citizen journalist sort of thing, and I don't know anything about it, or I don't know anything about him, but I thought it was interesting. It showed up in my feed this morning on Facebook, and even though he's in Warren County, he came over and he was there last night, just observing. And here's what he said. I'm just going to read his Facebook post because I thought it was pretty interesting from somebody who doesn't live actually in St. Charles County. He said, and this is again, Ramiz Hakim, I had the chance to listen to the Republican debate for St. Charles County Executive, and there was far more agreement than disagreement among the candidates. The biggest topics of the night were apartments and rapid growth, taxes, data centers. On the issues themselves, all three candidates seemed to agree on the general concerns. Taxes are too high. Apartment developments are putting too much pressure on infrastructure and communities. Data centers present challenges that need to be addressed. Where they differed was in how they would tackle those issues in the simplest terms. And again, this is Ramiz Hakim talking here. Steve Ellman, county government cannot force cities to do things. Bill Eigel, county government should step in and force changes when necessary. Jason Law, county government should work collaboratively with cities to find solutions. He goes on to say, so the debate wasn't really about what the problems are. Rather, it was more about the role county government should play in solving them. One approach emphasizes local control. One approach emphasizes county authority. One approach emphasizes partnership and collaboration. That's my simplified takeaway from the debate. I thought that's pretty darn spot on. It really is.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's an excellent summation.
I have no idea. I've never heard of this.
No idea.
I've never heard of the Warren County Community Connector. I need to probably check it out. And I don't know anything about Mr. Hakim, but I thought that was exceptionally well assessed.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can point to specific points of contention and, different points that were made or whatever, but no, that's it.
Yeah.
In a nutshell.
Okay, I've got the cut sheet right there in front of you, the 6, and so there's no way I can play all of these in this segment. We're gonna revisit this throughout the day. So which it may be right here. Right, that's probably yours right there.
What's it doing over there though?
I don't, because I didn't set it down. The 6. Oh, you've got the 6, yeah.
You said cut sheet, and I'm looking for something else.
It's on
Guys, I'm not awake enough yet to really handle Mike being tricky with me, so sorry.
Okay, so there's the list. Which of these sound clips you want to play first here?
Because
I've got something from everybody.
Oh, wait. I don't know. Maybe the Elman on data centers, the second one.
The second one. Okay. All right. Yeah. So here, because the data center thing got a lot of discussion last night here. So this is the 42-second one here. Here is part of County Executive Steve Elman's take on this. Oh, crap. I didn't do the darn thing.
He forgot to plug it in.
I did. Gosh dang it.
Bring coffee.
Yeah.
I do so much pre-production work to make sure everything goes well, and you keep sabotaging my creation.
And I don't plug the darn thing.
Bad cat
ruining
herding.
my symphony, Mike.
Bad cat herding.
Yes. Trivia question: how do you know your local radio show is actually live? By the host forgetting to plug his darn computer in. Okay, so here's Steve Elman. We're talking about the data centers, and Bill Eigel had made it very clear. I oppose them. I don't want them anywhere in the county. End of story. So here's Steve Elman.
You're the one who wants to do away with property taxes. What about all the property taxes that these data centers pay? Now, the problem is they pay it to one person. What we should do is what we already do with generating plants like the Sioux plant here in St. Charles County. That and all of the high wires and everything, they pay taxes on that, but they pay it into a big pot in Jefferson City, and then the money comes back on a per capita basis to the people in the county. If we did that, think about it. I mean, everybody uses that electrical grid, and everybody's going to benefit from these data centers wherever they are, and hopefully they won't be here.
Yeah, so Steve went on to propose a moratorium, Steve Elman, basically utilizing the health department to delay any action on anything for 6 months.
Right.
So basically he was saying they got to go somewhere, but he's okay with them not being in St. Charles County.
Let's take a closer look. Let's see what might be feasible. Let's not make any rash decisions.
Yeah. And so that was his take, which that was a very different approach than Bill Eigel's approach, who just said, pass a ban, be done with it.
Don't do it.
End of story, make it a permanent ban on that. So that got a lot of, I thought, attention as well, because one thing I do think that Steve made an interesting point on was he said this is the hot thing right now. People are really fired up about them, but we don't have a history of their actual impact anywhere just yet of any length of time. And he essentially said, let somebody else do it, and then let's see what happens. I thought, well, you may agree or disagree with it, but I'm like, well, that's an interesting approach.
Right.
Whereas, Bill Eigel just said, we don't want them buying up the land. We just don't want them here. And he was absolutely a no.
Well, and Jason made a very, I think, a salient point that I think hits for a lot of people too. And because he's someone who grew up in North County and experienced the effects and the damage of Coldwater Creek personally.
I did not know that Jason was a cancer survivor.
No.
And it was related to Coldwater Creek.
Yeah. And so that's something that hits very home. And obviously this is not the same thing as what that was, but it brings up the environmental questions and the safety questions. And those are legitimate questions. And I thought he made a really good point on that.
Yeah, I mean, and Coldwater Creek, obviously, you're dealing with nuclear waste and things like that, and that's not what data centers are, but they're just unknown questions there.
That warrant scrutiny.
Right. So that was just one part of it. We're going to address a lot of this. I've got a lot here as well. Thank you to our own Jim Modulin for getting me those big raw files I could grab these from as well. So we got a lot. And also the big question, who do you all think won? Who do you think did well? What were your observations? Let us know. We'll come back to this throughout the morning, give you plenty of chance to weigh in on it.
We will. But we also want you to weigh in on.
What would that be?
What day is it?
Bump Day!
It is indeed. We may not be fully awake, but we know it's time to ask you for your suggestions for Flashback Friday bump music. So be thinking about what you want to hear on Friday. Send your requests to Jerome at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Well, there you go again, listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
All right, you all have heard me talk about Window World before. They are one of only 2 replacement windows with Good Housekeeping seal of approval, and they're ranked #1 in the country for number of windows sold by Qualified Remodeler magazine. They've been doing this for over 20 years. They've been helping to improve the look and energy efficiency of more than 80,000 homes right here in St. Louis. And the St. Louis location has been owned and operated and managed by born and raised St. Louisans for more than 23 years. So if you're thinking, hey, it might be time for new windows, you want to give them a call for your free estimate. It's 1-800-GET-WINDOWS. What I like about Window World is the product itself. Their windows are durable, they're secure, they're energy efficient. They're built with double strength glass that you don't typically see in replacement windows. And you're covered with a lifetime warranty, which includes parts, glass, breakage, and labor. And that is a big deal. They don't just do windows either. Window World can also help with siding and doors, basically everything on the exterior of your home except a roof or garage door. And here's something a lot of other companies don't offer. Their customer service team is available 7 days a week. That means on weekends, too. Their commitment to customer service shows. Over half of their appointments come from repeat customers or referrals, which tells you a lot about their commitment. And they are also big in the community. They've raised over $4 million over the years for charities like Action for Autism and St. Jude. So if you're thinking it's time for new windows, keep in mind, right now they're offering 36 months, same as cash financing with approved credit. Call 1-800-GET-WINDOWS.
Ferguson, he leaps and makes a fantastic catch.
Calling all bobblehead enthusiasts. Saturday, June 6th, as the Cardinals take on the Cincinnati Reds, fans can score a Jim Edmonds bobblehead presented by Ford. This collectible captures his unforgettable home run robbing grab at the wall, a play that still gives Cardinals fans chills. Add a defensive icon to your shelf and relive a moment that defined an era. Don't miss this one. Get tickets at cardinals.com/promotions.
Future Gold Glovers, this one's for you. Sunday, June 7th, the Cardinals welcome the Cincinnati Reds to Busch Stadium. And that day, kids receive a City Connect Rawlings glove presented by Rawlings. Built for playing catch all summer long, it's ready for backyard games, trips to the park, and every I got it moment. A day at the ballpark that keeps the season going. Get tickets now at cardinals.com/promotions.
Hi, I'm Jen Wallner.
And I'm Rodney Wallner with the Wallner Home Selling Team at Berkshire Hathaway.
Hey, Rodney, how do you sell your home for top dollar?
That's easy. Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
What if I want a flexible commission rate?
Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
When's the best time to sell your home?
Right now. Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
For all your real estate needs, call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
That's 314-810-SOLD.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hey, it's Vic and Ken. We're on every Monday through Friday on NewsTalkSTL. Kenny, how are you?
I'm good.
You know, you got to be some kind of weirdo to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and do radio.
You do, believe me.
And that weirdo is Mike Ferguson in the morning show on 101.9 and 94.1 NewsTalkSTL. Whoosh.
You know, not only is it bump day, it could very well, hopefully, if we play our cards right and the right people are listening right now, it could also be Mario's Donut Day.
Donut Day.
just saying.
I love it.
We do that. All right, we don't know all of the results out of California. Susie, you were not kidding when you were warning us, saying, "Yeah, it takes them forever to count their votes or to release the results of the votes." As of early this morning, they were still at like both the governor's and the mayor's race in Los Angeles.
This is how they do it in California. Yeah. It takes weeks. It can take weeks, and yeah, I just want to warn people: don't be too excited by what it looks like now.
Right, because we know where things stand at the moment.
We do, and it's encouraging.
Yeah. So where we've got right now, let's start with the governor's race. Let's start because then we'll get to the situation with the Los Angeles mayor because there are some bigger pictures. Matter of fact, at 7:05. John Tillman from the American Culture Project going to be with us, and I booked him yesterday. And John's been on the show, a lot. And of course, he's got the new book out and everything. And he's looking at this not as in just Republican, Democrat, but what is this telling us about where we are right now and where are we going? Both the Democratic Party, the Republican Party, but also overall, just like us collectively, if there is such a thing as us, as opposed to just them and them. out there as well. But it appears that Steve Hilton and Javier Becerra are headed towards the runoff in California as it stands right now.
Right. So, yes, as of right now, they are the top two. Hilton is actually, I think, ahead.
He has the most votes so far.
Right now. But again, heavy caution because, he's up 27.8% to 25.4%. There's no question there will be a runoff.
Right.
The way they count votes in California, you don't ever want to count your chickens before they're hatched. Now, there's enough of a separation between Becerra and Tom Steyer that it's looking good. It's looking very good for those to be the top two. But, that doesn't tell us a thing about what's going to happen in the general. So, as of right now, looking good for Steve Hilton.
Now, one of the things I would also, when I was looking over, well, two things jumped out at me. One is that, there are a few Republicans and several Democrats. There are far more Democratic votes in the primary than there are Republican votes in the primary. So you keep that in mind, regardless of which two looks out there. And despite having this big national name, boy, Californians don't seem to like Katie Porter.
Oh, no, they don't.
They really don't like her.
I do want to point something out, though.
Yeah.
Because they're registered Democrats that are voting, that doesn't mean they didn't vote for the Republican.
Correct.
In fact, in this particular election, I think we're probably going to see a lot of crossover votes.
Yeah. So that's another thing. It's like, okay, well, let's see how it all shakes out. Because the top two, like you said, there's not that big a difference between those top two.
No, and I want to point something else out that's really important. L.A. County is one of the bluest of blue counties, okay? Right now, L.A. County only has a little over a 5% spread between Becerra and Hilton.
Interesting.
And Hilton's still leading Steyer.
Yeah.
So it is very encouraging. I just, I've learned, I've had my heart broken by California, so I've learned.
What the heck is going on with why it takes days or weeks for...
It's exactly what you think.
Okay. All
It's
right.
exactly what you think. It is set up by design by an overwhelming Democratic majority to ensure that there are always an overwhelming Democratic majority. They cheat, lie, and steal. I will say it.
You just did.
I will stand by it.
Yeah, so let's talk about Los Angeles here.
Yeah.
Karen Bass, we've got enough in to say she's making it to the runoff, but she was hoping to avoid a runoff, and she didn't even come anywhere close to avoiding a runoff because she's got a little over at this point. And again, we're looking at about 56% of the vote from KT. I was looking at KTLA out of Los Angeles. I was looking at their coverage.
Yeah, I've got the DDH.
Last I saw was about 56% of the vote, and she's got a little over a third of that.
Yeah, barely.
So that is nowhere close to avoiding a runoff because if you get 50% plus one, there's no runoff. You just win. That did not happen at all. It appears that Spencer Pratt is in the position to be in that runoff with her, but again, it's early.
It's early. Yeah. So don't count the chickens before they're hatched. But right now he's got an 8-point lead over Nithya Raman, who's the city council person, who's the third contender. So
right, and she's a socialist. I mean, a Democratic Socialist of America. And at one point, she was an ally of Karen Bass, if I remember correctly.
I wouldn't doubt it at all.
There was some sort of friction between those two.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, there's still a long way to go, and it may be weeks, honestly, before we actually get a final decision on that as far as who the top two are. But it's looking good right now. It's also looking good for like Kevin Kiley, who is the congressman who was a Republican who changed his status to independent because they redistricted California. Thank you, Gavin Newsom. But he's holding on. So like that might have been the wise move for him to do. And he's a good guy. I mean, like he advocates for good things in Congress. So
Henry Olsen, who one of the columnists for the Washington Post, I think Henry is. He is. This is his thing: is elections and looking at the actual data, where the votes coming from, where they and so his take overnight was that he believes Spencer Pratt has enough of a margin at this percentage to be able to make it into the runoff, even though he says what you see, that difference you just listed between him and Raman, is likely to close to some degree.
Yeah, I saw one of the big influencers on Twitter X this morning saying, and Spencer Pratt advances. And I'm like, oh, dude, come on now.
That's why you're not a professional. That's why you're an influencer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, don't do that to your people because that could go sideways real quick.
Yeah. Now the numbers are indicating that's what it looks like. But again, when you've got the land of fruits and nuts like California, you don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, and it isn't even the fruitiness or the nuttiness; it's the cheating. That's what the concern is.
Yeah. So with we know obviously Karen Bass is in the final. Yeah. That's going to happen. I would still argue that despite her complete incompetence, she would be the odds-on favorite. But stranger things have happened over the years.
They have, and there is a lot of energy and momentum behind Pratt's campaign. It's unconventional. It's caught a lot of people off guard. It's caught them by surprise. He's got let's assume it is the two of them. He's got a very, very steep uphill battle. But if ever this can be done, this is the time.
Yeah. So those results will trickle in, and in the meantime, you've got at least two candidates, if not three, that are going to continue campaigns because they don't know how the end results are going to be in that mayor's race. And then in the governor's race, you might have a third, but the top two, they're just going to keep campaigning, assuming they're going to be in it. Katie Porter can probably go back to
throwing potatoes at her ex-husband's head.
Throwing potatoes at people and cussing out staff members and interns and things like that.
That's her sweet spot.
Yeah. I mean, you find your niche in life.
That's right.
And you run with it. You find what your skill set is, and that's what you do. So if there's somebody who is looking to employ a foul-mouthed potato thrower.
Dressed as Batgirl.
Oh, right. I forgot about that. Boy, now that picture's back in my head, and it's ruined my day.
You're welcome.
Oh, God.
I mean, Katie Porter is the epiphany, or the
epitome?
archetype, the epitome, thank you, of if you do what you love for a living, you never have to work. And I think she really enjoys just treating people like garbage.
I think you're right.
Can't Luna Paulina, can't she be the one doing the Batgirl suit? That's a better visual.
Hey there, Mike.
Not Katie Porter.
I mean, I wouldn't rule it out. I haven't seen her in that, but I wouldn't rule it out. You got AI, you can make that happen.
No, I don't want to be that guy. I'm just saying that because that picture, I was like, oh God.
Yeah.
Your strength, that ain't your strength.
The blessing is that I think with this loss, Katie Porter will go back to being a college instructor and maybe spare the rest of us.
And if it helps at all, I mean, I'll just like Catwoman for you, Mike.
There you go.
That's better than Katie Porter's Batman.
Here's the thing: is that wouldn't be as bad as Katie Porter in that outfit.
I like where you're going with this.
Well, what I like is Flashback Fridays, and what I like about Wednesday, aka Bump Day, is that this is the day where I get to call upon people for their 80s Flashback Friday bump music requests. This week's theme is supergroups and special collaborations. So any songs that were crossovers between different genres, between other artists, or even just a supergroup that came out about the 80s, send it to me, Jerome, at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Always be yourself, unless you suck.
On News Talk STL. From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
Low humidity continues to be the star of the show when it comes to the forecast. Loads of sunshine today, up to about 83 degrees this afternoon. Warm in the sunshine, very pleasant in the shade. Mostly clear skies tonight, down to about 63 for the low early Thursday morning. Warmer Thursday at 87 in the afternoon, but the humidity remains low. Let's be ready for a few spotty showers Friday afternoon and evening with scattered storms this weekend. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
Something big is happening in St. Louis County, and you're invited.
Join us for the grand reopening of the St. Louis County Central Committee's brand new headquarters, and it's an open house you don't want to miss.
Stop by Wednesday, June 3rd at 794 Gravois Bluffs for light appetizers, beverage, and a chance to meet your Central Committee members. Plus, Chris and I will be there live.
Join Tim and me and tour the new headquarters. That's Wednesday, June 3rd, 794 Gravois Bluffs.
license number GL250000615.
Hey, Dad, what causes drains to clog?
Grease, hair, soap scum, and tree roots.
Tree roots?
This town has old pipes and big trees. They find each other.
They grow inside pipes?
They bust into pipes.
Whoa.
Once they're in, the water stops flowing.
Can we fix it?
The big green grasser machine can fix any clog.
Green is always grasser at grasserhomeservices.com.
Remember when food tasted like home? When breakfast was made from scratch and dessert was worth saving room for? At Shorty's Diner, we're serving up down-home breakfasts, lunches, and desserts just like Mom used to make. Fresh, from scratch, every single day. Step back in time with us, where the booths are cozy, Elvis is always in the building, and every plate feels like a hug. On Lackland and Westport, or online at shortysdiners.com. Shorty's Diner. It's not fancy. It's not fat-free. It's just the way it used to be. If you find yourself feeling out of place in the world, it's comforting to know conservative values haven't been abandoned everywhere.
The far left wants to destroy conservative values in America.
This is News Talk STL. Welcome home.
Exercising demons with the back of my head, yeah. Shell-shocked eyes and paralyzed, you finally understand that I'm a bad man. Yes, I
I love that you're starting your day off right with Mike Ferguson in the morning. It's your boy Joe Pags. Talk to you tonight. But now let's get back to Mike.
Okay, let me give you kind of the plan for what's coming up here on the program. We're going to assess maybe the bigger picture of these primary results around the country. We've got John Tillman. We're lucky to be able to access him because he's got a really good handle on this from the American Culture Project. We're going to talk to him around 7:05. And then I think let's go back to the St. Charles County and assess that. At 7:35, I've got several clips from that debate last night. I'll give you a little preview of that in the news dump here coming up in just a little bit. And then before that, Scott Pelley, gone. He was shown the door.
Well, he was... I mean this sincerely. He was asking for it.
Oh, totally.
He was intentionally provoking that response.
Right. Yeah. So he's out, and then we'll kind of chat about that. But then the bigger picture is this seems to be a shakeup in media in the industry itself right now for probably a variety of reasons. I'm not sure Scott Pelley's going to find himself to be the ideological or intellectual martyr he thinks he is. But yeah, we'll get into that. But in the meantime, I think the question is whether you were there at the debate last night, whether you listened at the debate or you're just taking in the clips that are going all over the place. Who do you think had the best night, and what questions do you have about it? So we're going to come back to that here in just a little bit. 6:35 right now. Did you see the 8647 thing back in the news?
I did.
A couple of different ways.
Mm-hmm.
Senator Eric Schmidt lit into a school board member, I guess school board president, Kirkwood, because she posted on social media. She did was it a hashtag or, but she posted 8647 as well. So here's what happened. And then there was also a court ruling regarding the numbers and the phrase 8647 somebody posted on a flag here as well. Let's start with Senator Schmidt on X. Eric then posted a screenshot of a Facebook post from Kirkwood School Board President Judy Motica, Motica, and Kirkwood is a crazy, stupid left-wing district to start with. We are constantly finding issues with the entire school, and this is from the top. I mean, we talk to the Thomas More Society every few months. We're like, yeah, they're still pushing LGBT stuff on kids. They're still pushing left-wing stuff. Kirkwood School District, I think they do brag about like academic achievements. Congratulations for being above the fray when it comes to public schools. Congratulations on that. But they are truly one of the most radically left-wing schools districts in the region.
Mm-hmm.
So the school board president says this on X, and let's see here. Where is it? She says she's basically responding to Stephen Colbert's last show, that he's not on the air anymore.
Woo-hoo.
And she goes and she says, I am totally in denial that after Thursday, the late show with Stephen Colbert will be over. I'm going to savor these last 4 episodes. He's a national treasure, a smart, funny guy. And all I can add is 8647. And so Senator Schmidt says, hey, nothing to see here, just the president of the Kirkwood, Missouri School Board, Judy Motika, calling for the murder of the president of the United States. No news coverage about it, just the casual acceptance of the Luigi left's assassination culture.
Bingo.
That fair? What do you think, Jerome?
Again, I grew up with 86, meaning specifically the context of illegal activities. Now that I'm more aware that it is a term that was used to being removed, I'm not 100% sure it was a call to assassinate or murder. I do think that because of how politicized it's gotten, that this is going to be a consistent sort of, I don't know what you call it, like a snark, like a clapback of basically saying, we know that this offends you, this is how you interpret it, but we're going to keep saying it anyways.
Yeah. Now, I want to make a point about that. I think before it became a thing with James Comey, people could claim the plausible deniability aspect of it. I don't think you can do that with in an intellectually honest way anymore, because that is why he's being prosecuted, is because a reasonable interpretation of it is kill this person. So to be like, what? I mean, it just means get rid of. I mean, what was big when Biden was president? Let's go, Brandon.
Yes.
We all knew that was code for something else, but that code for something else wasn't kill the guy.
So this is becoming basically a dog whistle that is not going to have, I think, at this point at least, I'm not seeing anything showing that there's legal repercussions the same way that if you flat out said, I'm going to do something illegal to somebody, would have if you posted that on
but there are. There could be. That's why James Comey is being prosecuted right now. Now, whether that prosecution will hold, whether he will ultimately be held criminally responsible for it, remains to be seen. But yes, there are repercussions for saying it, and then that ties into your other story.
Yeah, which we'll get to here in just a second. By the way, the Kirkwood School District did put a statement out.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They say, I'm just going to read their statement word for word. We are aware of a social media post made in mid-May by a board member on their personal account. As individuals, board members possess the right to free speech. However, the personal activity of any single member does not reflect the position of the district or of the Board of Education. Our primary focus remains on serving our students and collaborating with the board in its official capacity. So basically, they said nothing.
Yeah. I mean, well, I will say this. They didn't say we back our board members 100%. Right. They at least distanced themselves from the sentiment as in a, kind of political speak way.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's something.
So Motika put out a statement as well.
Did she?
Yeah. On May 18th, I wrote a post using my personal private Facebook profile lamenting the fact that it was Stephen Colbert's last week of shows. 3 days later, I became aware that a screenshot of that post had been shared on an unrelated feed. I was contacted by people I have never met and informed that my message was being interpreted as threatening. I immediately added an update to my original post clarifying my intent in rejecting violence in any form. 2 full weeks after my post, it was again shared, this time by my U.S. senators. It is hard to cut through the noise, but I feel it is important to provide context to ensure a clear understanding. At no point was I representing myself as the school board president, and nowhere in my profile do I identify myself as such. It is my private account where I usually share pictures of my family, travel photos, and occasionally commiserate with friends about the state of the world. In my official capacity as a board member, my focus has always been and always will continue to be what is best for the students of our district. And that's all she said about that.
Okay. I mean, that's not a horrible comment, but here's the thing. It was my own personal page, but people saw it, and I was making expressing a sentiment that people can reasonably interpret as, I mean, again, if you substitute kill the president for 8647, I mean, there's like, if it's the actual words, no one can make this argument. It's just because it's code for it. And yeah, I mean, okay.
Is somebody could make a reasonable interpretation of that enough to make it criminal?
It could be. That's what's going to be tested in the Comey case. I feel like it's not. I feel like it's not persuasive or intellectually honest to try and make I didn't mean it like James Comey has done. I don't think that's realistic anymore. I think was a point before that where you could say, well, yeah, 86 could mean this or it could mean that. But it always has been reasonably interpreted to mean kill.
Yeah. Well, and that's, and I think that's where it's getting blurred now, is because you do have enough people that are trying to say, no, we were meaning the restaurant term to get rid of. And so this might be the let's go Brandon of the left right now. That it's going to be used more as, you know what we mean, we know what we mean, but it's more of an FU than an actual call to action.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Let's go Brandon wasn't he'll kill the guy. It was screw him.
Mm-hmm.
In a more colorful language.
Right. Yeah. Which, okay, people say that about Trump all day long, and that's fine. Do it. That you're not going to get prosecuted over that.
Yeah, but you're also dealing with the types of people that they think is perfectly fine to advocate actual violence against Trump supporters.
This is the point.
I don't, of all the things that have been said, that have been posted, even the bloody Kathy Griffin Trump head, I think that if by now there has not been some sort of repercussion for this behavior, they're going to get away with it even if Comey again gets convicted of this. So I don't think they can retroactively charge everybody else that's been sharing it. And if anything, you're just going to see more people trying to be anonymous online posting it just to irritate people. So it's almost like a moot point of whether or not this gets charged or not.
Well, I don't think it's a moot point to discuss, and I think it's important to point out when someone is a leader, a community leader, that they're adopting well, she's not a teacher; she's a school board member. But
it's still bad.
I don't think
the president of the school board.
I think it's perfectly fine to call it out. I'm not saying she should be prosecuted.
Right.
I'm not advocating that.
Yeah.
And I don't know what's going to happen with the Comey prosecution, but I do think that.
Now, there was another case where a judge issued a ruling this week ordering the National Park Service to allow a left-wing group to display a flag that says 8647 near the National Mall. And so I didn't even know about this case. So U.S. District Judge Randolph Moss issued, basically it's a restraining order, it's TRO, in favor of a group called Accountability Now USA, which I've never heard of. They're just like super anti-Trump, basically, is what they are. So they had a display there, which people do displays in that area all the time in D.C., but they had a flag that just said 8647. And in the ruling, the judge rejected the arguments from the government that was a threat against the president. So part of his ruling, the judge wrote, the court does not doubt that political violence is on the rise and that it poses a grave threat not just to the targets of the threats, but to the country as a whole. But the enormity of that problem does not change the meaning of the plaintiff's speech, which by any reasonable measure merely advocated for the president's impeachment and removal from office, that is, to throw him out, the judge wrote. And so the judge said that Accountability Now USA intended the phrase to advocate Trump's removal from office through impeachment rather than through violence, basically saying different people mean different things by the letters or the numbers 8-6. That's his ruling.
Yeah, I talked about this with Tony yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
I don't for one second think that Randolph Moss isn't making his thoughts known about the Comey prosecution with this ruling.
Right, yeah.
So this is, that case isn't pending in front of the D.C. District Court. So this is his way of weighing in on that interpretation. And what's going to ultimately end up happening probably is at some point, maybe next term, before the Supreme Court they're going to be called upon to somehow determine whether 86 is sufficiently, associated with the concept of kill that it can be
or whether
prosecuted.
It's directing people to do it. Or like, for instance, I saw a bumper sticker in Maryland Heights here. I saw a bumper sticker yesterday. Yesterday that just said Luigi, which was, I had a bunch of other left-wing stickers on it. So that was somebody who was supporting Luigi's murder of a human being. And so, does that mean that he's advocating for more murders of CEOs or just that he supports that murderer?
No, I mean, you actually just got to the heart of it because we're talking about two numbers, 8-6. But that actually implies a verb, like an action, not just I wish he were that. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I do think this is going to end up before the Supreme Court in one way or another. Maybe with this case, maybe with the Comey case. But yeah, we're going to be arguing about what the heck 86 means. And I just want to get back to Get Smart. Who do you think won last night's debate? We've got a few highlights from it during the news dump at 6:50.
Keep your lady by your side. I can snap my fingers, turn your glass house into sand.
This
is so stupid.
St. Louis's
Okay, I'm hanging up on you now.
place to talk. News Talk STL.
The 4th Annual Augusta Wine and Jazz Festival takes over the town on Saturday, June 6th from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Experience a true jazz crawl as you stroll around Augusta with 10 stages tucked into vineyards and tasting rooms, offering a world of food and sounds to explore, with free festival entry for all ages. The day culminates at the Harmony, Augusta's historic performing arts center, for a powerhouse headliner performance and pasta dinner you won't want to miss. Details and tickets at theharmony.org.
To have a roof over your head, a nice roof over your head, is very important.
That's Rick talking about his experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago, and they're very cooperative on getting us the right paint. They were in and out and done in no time. Once it was finished, looked great. We were very happy with it.
The main reason Rick called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by a 25-year transferable warranty.
We've watched a lot of people get their house painted 3 or 4 times, and we haven't had to do any of it. I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to have to paint it every 5-7 years.
Take a tip from Rick and put down the paintbrush and call Rhino Shield for your free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO. Or visit 877-25rhino.com.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago. Financially makes sense, especially if it's going to last like this did. Still looks great.
Call now. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com.
Don't paint, don't Rhino, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Hey, it's Chris Arps. Becky and I recently discovered a restaurant that's quickly become one of our go-to restaurants, Timothy's in Creve Coeur. Led by executive chef Will Mabry, Timothy serves contemporary American cuisine with a touch of Southern charm. Dishes like pastrami, smoked lamb, and shrimp and grits. My wife absolutely loved the lobster pot pie, and everything we've tried has been incredible. Amazing house-made desserts and over 500 wines to choose from. Enjoy dinner 7 nights a week, plus lunch, brunch, and private events. Timothy's in Creve Coeur at 12710 Olive Boulevard or online at timothysstl.com.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Good morning, St. Louis. Hey, it's Vince from The Vince Show right here on News Talk STL every weeknight at 8. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
All right, the 3 contenders for St. Charles County Executive made their cases for your vote. I've got a couple samples of that, and oh yeah, we're going to be assessing how that debate went down here throughout the morning. Also, one of mainstream media's top names in news is fired. A lot of different angles to this. And the Cardinals are slipping back in the Central Division standings. I got the update on that for you at 6:50 right now. Let's do a news dump.
The Morning News Dump, brought to you by Whistle Pig Outdoors.
Wake up, America. It all worked out. They got all the news.
The Morning News Dump.
All right, property taxes, data centers, and apartments. Those were among the main topics candidates debated last night at the St. Charles County Executive Debate. Bill Eigel and County Executive Steve Ellman sparring over Eigel's push to end personal property taxes.
I have yet to meet a person that lives in this county that doesn't want to see the end of personal property tax. Let's start standing up for the taxpayer.
You get to do that. Tax is a big problem. Personal property tax is a big problem. The county is a small part of that problem. And what you're suggesting would bankrupt the county.
Okay, public safety was also front and center in the discussions. Jason Law arguing for a regional, more cooperative approach to addressing crime.
We need to focus in on that regionalism in terms of crime, and that will help us bring business back to this region when we get that under control and people can feel safe.
Okay, the debate was hosted by the Hammond Institute for Free Enterprise at Lindenwood University, and it really was, Susie, I think, an area where I don't know that, other than the data center thing, I don't know that there was a huge amount of disagreement on the general approach, but the application and what the solutions are, there was a wide range in those. Now, property taxes, there's a big difference on that between Steve Ellman and Bill Eigel. But, you've got 3 pretty conservative guys who have very different views on how county government should operate.
That's the thing. It's about how to get there, not necessarily where the there is. Although there are some differences there. But this was kind of something that I was talking about before, or like going into it was, you got 3 Republican guys on the stage.
Mhm.
None of them's like a secret Democrat. So it's still going to be like a not that big a difference in terms of their overall agendas. But yeah, the how we're going to get there is very different.
Yeah. A St. Louis Circuit judge sides with City Hall against the Board of Police Commissioners in a dispute over $67 million in funding for police. KMOV's Corey Stark has the update.
The board says these raises would help keep current officers and make their salaries more competitive with the rest of the region. Mayor Kara Spencer sounded off about the proposal and how it could impact the.
I am actually, that is the different KMOV cut. I'm sorry, I'm having a bad day on this right here. Let me try this one again here. Here it is. Here's Corey Stark giving the update.
A new law mandates the city set aside a certain percentage of general revenue for SLMPD. The state argued the city undercounted how much revenue they have by not including the RAM settlement money and reserve funds. But the circuit court ruled since that revenue came before this fiscal year, it should not be counted.
The Board of Police Commissioners says it is going to appeal the decision. I actually think that the city is right. Having worked in city government on a much smaller scale, when they talk about the annual revenue and percentage, the settlement is a whole different bucket of money. I actually think Mayor Spencer's right about this.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't had a chance to analyze it from the, with my lawyer hat on, so I don't know for sure. Obviously, like you said, they're going to appeal, so we'll see what ends up shaking out. Judge Moriarty that made the ruling is someone I've been in front of a number of times, and she's pretty sharp cookie. So
yeah. I mean, and the question isn't whether or not the city should spend more on the police. We definitely want to see this is in addition to the other amount that's
it's
already
about
out
where
there.
that money should come from.
Yeah, they're just basically saying, hey, that percentage, you didn't include everything, and the city's arguing we don't have to. The law says we just have to do the revenues, the annual fiscal year revenues. And so this stuff has been around the Rams money has been around for years. And so just my impression, having a little bit of experience in it, I actually think the judge in this case probably got that right, and I think the city's right, and I think the Board of Police Commissioners is wrong. Now, the city should be more eager to fund law enforcement and police. That's the problem. I do think the critiques of that are fair, but in this one right here, I think that makes sense. I think it really makes sense. We'll see how it ends up in the end. Okay, a couple of quick hits on what we'll be talking about at 7:05 here. Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass advances to the runoff election, but who she's going to face isn't confirmed because the vote totals have not been announced yet, but early returns indicate that Spencer Pratt is likely to be the other candidate. So at this point, it appears that socialist Nithya Raman will finish third. But again, those results have not been confirmed at this point, and there's a lot of votes that still haven't been cast or announced.
Or formulated.
Sorry,
did I say that?
In California's race for governor, Republican Steve Hilton has the most votes of all of the candidates, at least as of the latest reporting, which is not final by any means. Again, the partial results show a likely runoff between him and Democrat Javier Becerra. Congresswoman Katie Porter somehow managed to get over 4.5% of the vote in the results so far, placing her not last, a very, very distant fifth, but not last, despite the fact that she's a complete and utter lunatic.
And just to be fair, Eric Swalwell received 18,600 votes so far.
Wow.
Yeah.
I just got to think about that for a minute.
Yeah.
Man, okay. All right. We're soon going to have the remaining decisions from the U.S. Supreme Court for this term, and one case could set a precedent for protecting girls and women's sports. Michael Harrington has this story.
The justices are expected to deliver rulings in more than 20 cases before going into recess in July. One of the most important has to do with transgenderism. The High Court will decide whether or not states have the right to bar males from competing in sports against females at the high school and collegiate levels. Last year, the justices delivered a landmark ruling in support of state laws that bar children from undergoing sex change operations. Michael Harrington reporting.
And there are a variety of LGBT pride flags now flying at St. Louis County's Memorial Park, and that is an official government display. County Executive Sam Page ordered the display, and he gave remarks at the flag-raising ceremony there.
It's a symbol of inclusion
And we want to send a message to our LGBTQ plus community. And that message is, we see you, we hear you, we appreciate you, and we stand with you.
That display is part of the county executive's official support for Pride Month, because of course he did.
Of course.
Yeah. All right, the shakeup continues at CBS. I'm going to get into this here in a little bit as well. Longtime 60 Minutes anchor and reporter Scott Pelley has been fired. The company says he was shown the door for cause, accusing Pelley of undermining the program's new management. Pelley has been with CBS since 1989, and he joined 60 Minutes in 2004 as a correspondent. He picked a fight, basically, is what happened.
Oh, he absolutely did. And he did, I mean, like, he wanted to go out in a blaze of glory. I'm using that term loosely, and that's what he's doing.
Yeah. So I think there's some bigger picture questions, because the old guard mainstream media does not like the shakeup and the changes that are happening in the industry, and the market demands of them.
They are righteously indignant about it.
Yes. Not right, but righteous. Yes, exactly. Okay, the Cardinals lose their second game in a row to the Rangers. Final score at Busch Stadium last night was 7-4. Final game of that series is tonight at 6:45, so the Cardinals need a win to avoid that sweep. Andre Palante going to be on the mound to start this one. Here's what's going on. The Redbirds have actually dropped back to third place in the division. They are now 6.5 games behind the first place Brewers, and one loss would actually bump them down to fourth place in the division. It's still a close race. I mean, 6.5 at this stage, that's not much. It's going to be a very competitive year.
Yep.
Are you tired of hard chlorinated water drying your skin out, tasting bad, and ruining your fixtures? Jones Air and Water Treatment has a solution to this pollution. Our Hydratech H2O leaves you with great tasting, soft water at all fixtures in your home with one unit. Call Jones Air and Water at 636-899-1040 or visit us on the web at joneswater.com. You can be a filter or buy a filter. Jones Air and Water, 636-899-1040 or joneswater.com on the web. Call us now.
Hey, Colombo here for Intervine, a great local company that has customers all across the country due to the quality of their products. Intervine has the best flashlights, lanterns, headlamps, and even batteries, including the new Monster 2000 Lumen waterproof lantern and the Sentinel 2000 self-defense flashlight. Our home and vehicles are full of great Intervine products, and right now you can shop their website and get 25% off your entire purchase just by using my name, Tony, as your promo code. That's promo code Tony at Intervine.com.
Got scrap metal, junk cars, or old appliances taking up space? Turn that clutter into cash. Since 1968, 21 Recycling and Scrap Metal has been the area's trusted name for recycling. We buy copper, brass, aluminum cans, scrap iron, wheels, catalytic converters, AC units, water heaters, washers, dryers, and yes, junk cars too. With our brand new truck scale on premises, getting paid is fast and easy. Old Highway 21 by Highway M or 21-recycling.com.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Belfast, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. Amrit Thomason. In California, it could be a Hilton-Becerra runoff. The two gubernatorial candidates running neck and neck as the vote counting goes on. Following yesterday's primary, Tom Steyer brings up the rear. Los Angeles Democratic Mayor Karen Bass will likely advance to the general election and will likely be challenged by Spencer Pratt, a registered Republican who is running as an independent. One of this year's most closely watched House midterms is in New Jersey. Democrat Rebecca Bennett will challenge incumbent Republican Congressman Tom Kean Jr. come November. Kuwait briefly shut down its main airport after Iranian drones heavily damaged a terminal building and left one person dead. The latest salvo in a series of back-and-forth attacks by Tehran and Washington that have strained the fragile ceasefire. Ukraine has sent a reminder of sorts to Russian President Putin. We're still here, and we're still a force to be reckoned with.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says on social media that long-range drones flew more than 600 miles to hit an oil terminal in St. Petersburg, setting it ablaze. Clouds of black smoke rose over the city's port after the attack. Russian authorities said only that the Ukrainian drone strike targeted the city's infrastructure without providing further details. Although the city airport briefly suspended flights overnight because of the attack, authorities also cut off mobile internet services. Putin said to speak on Friday at an economic forum in St. Petersburg that the Kremlin views as a prestige event, although major Western investors and officials will stay away. I'm Charles Tillman.
The Trump administration plans tariffs of 10% or more on some major trading partners following an investigation. It focused on forced labor. Watching Wall Street this morning, the Dow futures down 117 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
The Federal Reserve has just announced a change in leadership, and that could have a profound impact on the value of your retirement. That's why now, more than ever, you need Advantage Gold, the #1 precious metals company in America. Call Advantage Gold right now at 800-900-8000 and get your free gold and silver investor guide, a $49 value, plus a free copy of Ken Rogoff's latest book, Our Dollar, Your Problem, giving you powerful insight into the future of money, markets, and global currency trends. Our specialists can help you open a new account or transfer funds from an existing IRA, tax and penalty free. Markets are unpredictable and they can turn fast, but precious metals are a safe haven asset that stand the test of time and volatile market conditions. The question isn't if the next shift is coming, it's when. Are you positioned? Don't miss this opportunity. Call Advantage Gold now at 800-900-8000. Results may vary. Consult your financial advisor before investing. Call 800-900-8000. That's 800-900-8000.
From the NewsTalkSTL Weather Center.
Low humidity continues to be the star of the show when it comes to the forecast. Loads of sunshine today, up to about 83 degrees this afternoon. Warm in the sunshine, very pleasant in the shade. Mostly clear skies tonight, down to about 63 for the low early Thursday morning. Warmer Thursday at 87 in the afternoon, but the humidity remains low. Let's be ready for a few spotty showers Friday afternoon and evening with scattered storms this weekend. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of NewsTalkSTL brought to you by Window World of St. Louis. For replacement windows, doors, and siding, call 800-GET-WINDOWS. That's 800-GET-WINDOWS.
Is diabetes keeping you from enjoying life's special moments? At U.S. Med, we understand the challenges you face, and we're here to help.
With U.S. Med, I can finally manage my diabetes without it managing me.
U.S. Med offers a wide range of services to simplify your diabetes care. Personalized care plans, convenient access to cutting-edge diabetes tech, and knowledgeable support. Plus, we'll check your insurance so your diabetes care may be covered at little or no cost to you.
With U.S. Med, I feel confident and control of my diabetes. I can finally live my life to the fullest.
Don't let diabetes hold you back. Choose U.S. Med and experience better birthdays, better adventures, better anniversaries, and better everything. Call now. U.S. Med. Better service, better care. 800-515-2380. 800-515-2380. 800-515-2380. That's 800-515-2380.
Mike Ferguson.
What is that private pile? Sir, jelly donut, sir. A jelly donut?
Susie Moore.
Mama don't like tattletales.
Get up, St. Louis.
So it's time to get out of bed. Pour yourself the greatest cup of Kofifi the world has ever seen. Rise up with one voice, drain the swamp, and take back our country. Today's the day we're going to do it, and it's time to do it right now, believe me.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
All right, let's talk big picture here.
All right.
What do the results, at least what we know of the results, from last night's elections, we're talking about around the country, California and other places as well, what does that tell us about where the parties are, but more importantly, where the country may be headed as well? Yeah, let's do that. All right, that's Susie. Got Jerome here. My name is Mike. We're now joined by John Tillman, our friend from the American Culture Project. And John, these are the days that political wonks like us and news junkies like us, we love to read into these things. But right now, we just seems like we're in such a unique crossroads in the country that every step of the political process tells us something. Now, I don't know if you can take what happened in, say, South Dakota and then California and draw one conclusion from those, but are you seeing any sort of messaging or trends that we should be paying attention to right now?
Yeah, I think we're seeing a continuation of the generational restructuring of the American electorate, and both sides are fighting it out vigorously, and it is unclear who is going to prevail. This has really been going on, I would say, since the beginning of the Tea Party movement, which was a rejection of Obamacare in his first term. And you've had these what I call blunt force instruments of accountability elections ever since. It's 2010, the big wave post Tea Party. Then you had 2016 with Trump. You had 2018, which was mixed, Republicans as well in the Senate and the governorships, but lost the House. You had 2020, kind of a toss-up race. But then in 2022 and 2024, the Republicans did well. So what we have is a battle for the future of the country, and is the progressive socialist model that is now dominating Democrat politics going to prevail, or is the anti-establishment MAGA Republicans going to prevail? And I think the primary showed that.
Good morning, John. You've kind of touched on this, but I feel like one of the biggest aspects of all of this is that we're not seeing the same sides we're used to seeing. There's a total realignment going on. So what used to mean red and blue means something totally different now. And I think it's kind of hard for people to get their footing in that.
Yeah, for example, you have President Trump endorsing the United States owning part of Intel, and then you have Bernie Sanders introducing a bill to have the United States own 50% of all AI companies, so that the quote unquote the people can benefit from the trillions in wealth that will be created. So the danger when both sides are using the government to achieve these goals, as opposed to the tradition of the Republican side being really focused on limited government and a constitutional government, you really have very different dynamics. And that's one of the things I think is there's going to be an ongoing battle post-Trump for the future of the right. Will it be a continuation of a very activist government, or will it evolve into a anti-establishment but limited government focused party?
Didn't we used to have a term for the government owning the means of production?
Yes, it's called socialism.
Oh, right. Yes, and yeah, I thought that just rung a bell with me when we're talking about, frankly, both sides doing a different version of that. We're visiting with John Tillman from the American Culture Project. Okay, let's dig in a little bit. Obviously, with California, I mean, it's only June, so we may not know the election results for God knows how long on this, but Republicans doing very well in their jungle primaries, both the governor's race, Los Angeles mayor's race. We don't have the final results yet, but it appears at this point that there's going to be a Republican versus Democrat general election, assuming there's no crazy thing that happens between now and whenever the final votes are told.
It is California, Mike.
I know.
He knows.
On the table.
I know. But assuming that there are no shenanigans, and then what we were saying is kind of what's going to end up being the result. What do you read from, first of all, Los Angeles? I mean, the city is about as blue as you get, and Spencer Pratt looks like he's going to end up being in a runoff, because Karen Bass did not avoid a runoff. And then, of course, in the California governor's race, Steve Hilton, as of right now, actually has more votes than anybody else, barely, but it looks like we're looking at a Republican versus Democrat out of their so-called jungle primary.
Yeah, what you see in both of those races, which I think are super fascinating and a reflection of what's going on in the country, it turns out in California that they are incompetent at everything. As we've alluded to here, they are incompetent at counting ballots, and they are incompetent putting out fires and doing proper fire prevention and water, having water available and ready in reservoirs. And they're incompetent at keeping people from pooping on the streets, using dogs as test cases to see if the fentanyl dose is good, and otherwise destroying public parks and public places. And so that apparently is the threshold in which Democrats will finally say enough is enough. And I think it's very interesting that the incumbent Karen Bass only got she's about 36, 37%. So 64% of LA voters voted against her. Meanwhile, Steve Hilton, as you pointed out, is narrowly leading, and none of these sort of establishment people on the Democrat side had a dominant run. Becerra being the other vote getter right there with Hilton. So again, what you see across the spectrum in the Democrat heartland, you see a rejection of their established leaders. People are very frustrated with failing governance. As I said earlier, this has been going on for 20 years, and elections are a very blunt force instrument of accountability. And I think it'll be really fun to see how those two play out through the fall and who prevails in November. But hopefully they'll have finished counting the primary votes by, say, September.
Don't hold your breath, John. Don't hold your breath. Now, on the opposite end of the country, in New Jersey, we have a kind of different sort of story unfolding that also has to do with culture wars and such, like with Adam Hamawe winning the primary for New Jersey. I think it's the 12th district there. And he's the guy who has known connections to the Blind Sheik and an al-Qaeda-related group, and yet he has won his primary. We're seeing kind of an uptick in candidates that are, well, beyond non-traditional in terms of not only their backgrounds, but just what they stand for. What do you think that's presaging?
It's amazing. Also in New Jersey, in the 7th, the Democrats, I'm blanking on the name right now, but they nominated a woman helicopter pilot, and that shows better judgment than what you just referred to in the 12th. Mm-hmm. And I think what the 12th reflects and what's going on in the Senate primary race in Michigan is another good example where these radical Islamic-aligned candidates are prevailing in Democrat primaries. Tells us an awful lot about the strategy of Muslim immigration to go from being immigrants to now gaining ever-expanding political power. And they have chosen to align themselves with the Democrat Party. And for the most part, the Democrat Party has chosen to align with them. And going back to the whole restructuring, you really have an interesting thing going on in the Democrat Party, which had long been one of the great advocates for Israel and Jewish voters in this country, and they are now abandoning those votes and those policies and aligning themselves with Hamas and, in general, the Muslim world. It's a real scary thing when you think about what has happened in many parts of the world where there's radical Islam has taken. There's some areas of moderation, but the radical Islamic ideology, is a death cult, and it's wild to think that one of the great two parties in the history of this country is now nominating people to run for Congress. It's wild. You would have never guessed this 20 years ago.
Yeah. What do you, if you are a blue collar, old fashioned, what in Missouri people refer to as a Truman Democrat, or in St. Louis they might call a Dick Gephardt Democrat. If you're one of these just center left, blue collar, probably union type of old-fashioned Democrat, what do you do? I mean, it just seems like those folks have been abandoned.
Well, I think they feel abandoned, and I think that's why the ones who do get engaged are voting for people who are rejecting these moves. The restructuring conversation. This is why the Republicans actually have an opportunity if they could be smart enough to take advantage of it. But so far, they've not really demonstrated.
I was going to say Republicans being smart enough to take their. Yeah, we'll see what.
Have you
works.
Met us?
Yeah.
Yes. It's a sad case.
It is. Bless our hearts.
We try hard, though, don't we?
We sure do.
I always say the Democrats circle the wagons and the Republicans circle the firing squad. That's the way
that is right. And my other line is that when Democrats win elections, no matter how small the majority, they can't wait to implement their agenda. When Republicans win majorities, no matter how large, they can't wait to equivocate on their agenda, and then they wonder why their voters are mad at them.
Bingo. One of the features of elections these days kind of comes down to, did Trump endorse or did he not endorse? And obviously, I mean, the impact of Donald Trump's ascendancy and leadership is going to be felt for years to come, both in the Republican Party and in the United States as a whole. But we're seeing kind of mixed results. I mean, he's had some really big wins in terms of endorsed candidates. And then he's had, for instance, like the Iowa governor's primary, a few losses here and there. And I feel like, well, what do you think? Do you think people should, how much do you think people should read into the Trump endorsement factor?
No endorser and no politician is ever going to have a perfect batting record. So I think Trump still remains the dominant force, and an endorsement matters greatly. Iowa was somewhat unique in that Zach Lamb, as you point out, defeated Trump's endorsed Representative Randy Fenstra. And I think it goes back to the point we've been making, which is Lamb is an outsider. He's a Maha-aligned, it's kind of Maha versus MAGA, a Maha-aligned businessman, whereas Fenstra is an insider. He's been in Congress and is perceived to be such. And the endorsement came late. So I think it's a reflection of the Iowa primary voters on the Republican side want an outsider. And that is actually, in some ways, even though Trump endorsed Fenstra, an endorsement of the outsider that Trump is.
All right, John Tillman, American Culture Project. We didn't even get time. I think we mentioned the book last time you were on, but you got the still fairly new book out right now. Give me the quick synopsis of that, and I'm sure we can find that, Amazon, your website, places like that?
Amazon, Barnes & Noble, everywhere books are sold. It's called The Political Vice and How the Radical Left has taken over America and what we need to do to take it back. And it explains a lot of what we just got done talking about. How come Republicans move left once in office? How come Democrats move further left once in office? Why it's rare for someone to move to the right? It's because of pressure in media and all the NGOs you've been reading and hearing about, and how they're all organized. And the left plays politics 24/7, 365. Unfortunately, too much of the Republican infrastructure waits for election season when this is a 24/7, 365 game.
Hey, John, good talk to you again. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, John. All right, one of the longest tenured reporters on network TV gets the boot. So far, conservatives are not crying about that. Let's talk about the saga of Scott Pelley and the bigger picture of how the news business is being shaken up right now.
Don't try to make me stop, no inspiration. You have a soul so dark, it is no more. And all at once.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
I like it, but they're going a little overboard with the dancing.
On News Talk STL.
I have had enough of this. Turn my eyes to your indifference.
Hey, it's Susie here to talk to you about the place that offers you great fun and great food from the heart of West County. They've been doing it for over 20 years. That's right. It's Harpo's Chesterfield, which is the perfect neighborhood bar. It's close, it's convenient, it's got a great sports bar atmosphere, and it has great food and drinks. I talk to you guys about the specials, and usually I'm talking to you maybe like in the middle of the week, so I'm telling you like what the Wednesday or Thursday special is. I wanted to point out something. They've got a Facebook page you can follow. It's Harpo's Chesterfield, and Saturday their special was a Philly cheesesteak sandwich with a side for like $14. Mondays, they got chicken parmesan sandwich served with any regular side for $13. I mean, you can't beat those prices, plus the food is delicious. And it's not just their burgers that are delicious, although they are quite delicious. So you should go check them out for the food. You should go check them out for the drinks. You should check them out for the atmosphere. They've got a fun, friendly, energetic wait staff. And basically, they deliver fun food and drinks like no one else does. You can check them out again on their Facebook page, which is Harpo's Chesterfield, or their Instagram, or you can go to harposstl.com and check out what their daily specials are. If you are thinking you are in the mood for something tasty today, go check out Harpo's.
Colombo and Company.
Join us every day for conversations with a wide variety of guests as we keep you informed and up to speed on all the important news and headlines you need to know.
Live and local weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL.
With all of the celebrations, anniversaries, and holidays coming up over the next few months, where are you going to go to get that special something for the special people in your life? Newsteaders Fine Jewelers, of course. Newsteaders Fine Jewelers found 24/7 at wowdiamonds.com. Tim Jones here to tell you all about Newsteaders Fine Jewelers. Richard Newsteader and his team serving our region since 1961 with awesome, honest jewelry solutions. They've got everything from diamonds to wedding engagement rings, hand-engraved items, pendants, earrings, and so much more. You can find them 24/7, wowdiamonds.com. That's Newsteaders Fine Jewelers, wowdiamonds.com.
At Body of Health, we're a small but mighty family operation with big ambitions for your health. I'm Helene Tobler, and I'm jazzed about how our MRI-grade body composition analyzer is putting personalized health and wellness on steroids. It helps me and Dr. Tobler, that's my husband, refine the advice we give to help you feel better and live longer. Body of Health, trusted, discerning, affordable health care the way it ought to be. Learn more at bodyofhealth.com. That's bodyofhealth.com.
Spring has sprung at Daniel's Farming Greenhouses on Joggerman and St. Peters. Discover our breathtaking 55,000 square feet of greenhouses featuring 8,000 hanging baskets, hundreds of perennials, and 100,000 pods of colorful annuals. From vegetable plants to premium grass seed, mulch to herbs, our knowledgeable staff is ready to answer all your questions. Start spring off right with pansies, potted tulips, and everything your garden craves. Daniel's Farming Greenhouses. Visit us today on Juggerman or online at danielsfarmandgreenhouses.com.
News Talk STL. Always streaming on your smart speaker, our mobile app, or newstalkstl.com.
Hey guys, Billy Crow here from Jeffco Patriot Radio. Hope you had enough time to freshen up your coffee, because now we're back with Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Susie, did you freshen up your coffee?
I need to. I don't know. I mean, I actually did sleep last night, but I feel like, I don't know, like I'm in a fog.
You know what? It was funny because I woke up this morning and I saw the text from one of our bosses. Everybody was kind of excited about how well the debate ran last night and, everything. And I see one of our bosses like, hey, let's all go get some dinner at Gingham's.
Yeah.
After this, I'm like, oh, I wanted to do that, but
I
had to go sleep.
That's why I was like, thanks so much, but it's 8:30 and I got to be up early tomorrow, so
it's past my
rain
bedtime.
check, Joe.
Bedtime. Joe, feel free to take us both out to lunch to make up for it.
Absolutely, anytime.
All right, CBS shows one of their longest tenured reporters the door, and we are told that it is the result of the battle over the network's approach to journalism and with 60 Minutes. I think there's a bigger picture.
Yeah.
Than just, Scott Pelley, I think, wants this to be about, Scott Pelley. But I think there is a much bigger picture, and CBS is an interesting case study because they've got a new boss who is saying, let's try something different and start using journalism.
I was like, let's do the journalism.
Let's do journalisming.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of folks at CBS are really angry about that because they want to remain the left-wing activist group.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So I want to get to that in just a minute or so because this is actually a more interesting because I have a feeling somebody is listening right now and watching right now and going, yeah, Scott Pelley got fired. We don't like him. Who cares? I think there's a bigger picture.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's more to it than that. But in the meantime here, from election results, California, New Jersey, South Dakota, to what's going on in Iran, a whole bunch of stuff in between, redstate.com, all over the news. So, Susie, what is hot today on Red State?
This is the Red State Rundown.
Well, we are continuing to cover the fallout from Tuesday's elections, and of course, California will be continuing to covering from now till the end of time. But one of those elections I mentioned earlier involves, it's now California District 6, who can keep track because they keep redistricting just to try and get rid of the Republicans.
That was last week. Are you sure that's there this week?
Right now, it's District 6. Jennifer Oliver O'Connell has this one. Will California independent Kevin Kiley win his fight? Kevin Kiley is the guy who went to Congress as a Republican. He's now switched as an independent, not because he's really broken from the Republican Party, but because he's being redistricted out of his district. So he's doing what he can to hold on to the seat. He still is a good conservative fighter, so we're hoping that he holds on. Right now he has the lead, so that's good. Check out Jennifer's piece on Kevin. It's a good write-up. Speaking of Scott Pelley, Sister Tolja's got update. Peacocking 60 Minutes journo struts straight into consequences after combative meeting. So she's got the rundown on what went down with the battle between Scott Pelley and management at CBS, and it's kind of glorious. And then also, regarding California, Bob Hogue explains Banana Republic by mail, why we probably won't know outcomes of California's crucial primaries for days. Bob is, of course, a California resident, and his wife is the chairman of the LA County GOP. So he's got some insight on why California's, and if you want to know more, check it out.
Yeah. I think it's in one way fascinating that California, which, has Silicon Valley, supposedly one of the most tech-savvy, advanced states in the country, if not the world, can't get us election results. And I would rather have accurate results than fast results.
Yes.
But that's not the choice we're dealing with right now.
Well, and you said can't.
Right.
And can't isn't actually the accurate term. They won't.
Yeah.
And it's by design. And it's basically, the longer you delay, the more opportunity there is to massage things so they come out the way you want them to.
All right, 7:25 right now. CBS dropkick Scott Pelley off of 60 Minutes and out of CBS. He's fired.
Mm-hmm.
So he's been there since I was a senior in high school. I have gray hair now. He's been there since before Jerome was even a thought.
Yes.
You didn't exist when he started at CBS.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
Yeah, those of us who were alive in the 80s do remember, yeah.
So here's the thing. 60 Minutes, though, you remember, when we were young, 60 Minutes was just known as a stalwart of like what we would then call a news magazine.
Yeah, it was like the standard bearer.
It was.
That was what you measured everything else against. That was like serious journalism, very high quality, well produced, well put together, informative. And you didn't even really think about it. Now, granted, I was raised in a liberal Democrat household, but back then it wasn't even a thought about what lens you were viewing it through. It was just, this was like a longer, deeper look at the news and important things.
I wasn't paying a huge amount of attention to news. I was more interested in sports and stuff like that in the 80s in high school. But even I understood, and I came up and I was reared in a very conservative home. And 60 Minutes was, my dad would even complain about media bias back in the 80s. And I remember, hearing about that. And, going into the 90s. But 60 Minutes wasn't questioned.
No.
But it has become, not that they don't have their good moments. That interview with Ben Sass that Scott Pelley did, I thought was very good. I thought it was very, very good. It's not a matter of Scott Pelley not having the talent. It's Scott Pelley not wanting to apply the talent. And it's really not about Scott Pelley.
No, it's not. But this particular story is.
Because they brought in a new executive producer. And, of course, this is following Barry Weiss being hired as the head of basically the editor in charge of CBS News. And, she has been arguing radically enough that journalists should do journalism and should stop trying to influence outcomes and be activists. And, of course, that means every news organization in the world basically hates her because she's trying to put into practice what you're told on the first day of journalism school and communications school anywhere in this country. And so CBS is interesting to me. I used to work at a CBS affiliate.
Okay.
Over the course of my career, I've worked at an NBC affiliate, an ABC affiliate, a CBS affiliate, and a Fox affiliate.
All right.
And now a Fox/Newsmax affiliate with us.
Renaissance man.
Yeah, pseudo affiliate at least. And so I have been in all of those environments, and CBS by far and away has been the most overtly terrible left-wing bias, not even apologizing for it. To the point where we would run quarterly news minutes from CBS, and I would regularly live on the air say, oh, by the way, to my audience, that was terrible and biased. I wouldn't listen to those people at all.
Wow.
I would just say it on the air. I got called into my boss's office once, and he goes, you're slamming our network affiliate, and you just ripped apart their news. I went, yeah. And he goes, our audience loves that.
Of course they do.
Because it's a conservative show. He's like,
subversive.
He's like, well, you were supposed to get in trouble, and this worked. Keep doing it. I'm like, I'm just calling it like I say it, But with Scott Pelley, so he decides to pick a fight in this meeting. And they said, you tried to hijack the meeting. You undermined the new boss. You basically tried to throw your weight around. We're getting rid of you. And so there's were you just a complete jerk? There's always that aspect of it. But the longer and the heavier weight you are, you can get away with being jerks, in a lot of things. So it seems to me that there has to be probably something a little more to this than just Scott Pelley was an a-hole for a little while.
Well, there is. And I want to start by doing something and saying something very petty. But I feel like Scott Pelley looks like he acts.
Yeah.
Like the look on his face always like, I am better than you.
Yes.
I've got this.
Don't you know who
I am? That's what his face just screams to me. Okay, sorry. Yeah, this wasn't just him being a jerk. This was basically, the new guys coming in. He invites Pelley to dinner to have a conversation ahead of his taking over so that they can collaborate. And Pelley declines. Then goes to the staff meeting, which is this guy's first day on the job. He's introducing himself to the staff, and Pelley literally hijacks the meeting, makes a big dramatic thing about it all, screams all this stuff, and then makes sure everybody out in the world knows about it. So it's like, okay, we see what you're doing. It's like the employment equivalent of suicide by cop. I mean, I'm sorry, I don't mean to be that dark, but that's what it is. I mean, he wanted to go out in a blaze of glory and let everybody know that he was taking this big, bold stand. And yes, you're going to give talent a lot of leeway, but you can't
especially one who's been around for decades.
Right, but you can't just allow that. I mean, if you're trying to lead and you got that happening on your first day, someone undermining you that badly, you're going to lose if you don't take command immediately.
There's a lot of these well-established mainstream media folks who don't like the shakeup in the market demand being called out for the bias, and they're not comfortable with it.
Well, too bad.
Yeah, exactly. But you can always go independent. I mean, that's worked out great for Don Lemon's career, right?
Go give that a try.
And also for that other, I forgot his name. Oh, that's the point. I don't remember his name. The other guy from CNN. What was his name?
Who's screaming for Scott Pelley?
Yeah, no, nobody is.
Jim Acosta.
Acosta, that was it.
That's who you're thinking of.
He was so relevant, I forgot his name.
Exactly.
Well, it's not irrelevant. In fact, this is actually the buzz of the town right now, is that the region is still talking about the debate. Who do you think did the best? Let us know, and we will assess the candidates and their answers coming up here at 7:35.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
It's time to limit the First Amendment.
No. What? I said no.
On News Talk STL. From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
Low humidity continues to be the star of the show when it comes to the forecast. Loads of sunshine today, up to about 83 degrees this afternoon. Warm in the sunshine, very pleasant in the shade. Mostly clear skies tonight, down to about 63 for the low early Thursday morning. Warmer Thursday at 87 in the afternoon, but the humidity remains low. Let's be ready for a few spotty showers Friday afternoon and evening with scattered storms this weekend. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
Dude, this house is perfect. Crumbs everywhere, sticky counters. I've already texted the colony.
Sweet, I'll bring my 500 cousins. This'll be the biggest ant rager of the summer.
Let's party! Wait, what's that sound? Oh, no, it's those trucks with the green wheels. Party's over, man. Party's over.
This is Derek, the owner of All Solutions Pest Control. We'd love to help you out. Give us a call today for a free estimate at 636-486-7888.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control.
Larry Connor's commentary, brought to you by Vincent's Jewelers, offering a wide selection of jewelry, including lab-grown diamonds, affordable earrings, bracelets, necklaces, and rings, up to 75% off their natural counterparts. Visit VincentsJewelers.com. This is Larry Connor's commentary on News Talk STL.
For those who don't believe there is such a thing as TDS, prime example here. TDS, of course, Trump derangement syndrome. Those with TDS hate Trump more than they love America. They're willing to accept the most flawed candidates if they'll fight against Trump. Here's a perfect example. The source, CNN. One of their political commentators, Van Jones, discussing how Democrats in Maine will stick with Senate candidate Graham Plattner, despite his flaws. This guy just recently tried to cover up a Nazi tattoo he's had for years. He's denigrated what you think Democrats would want protected. Minority groups, slamming gays, claiming all blacks are bad tempers. Van Jones is a black man, but he says Plattner is the best candidate we have because he will fight against Trump. And TDS goes even deeper. Van Jones says there used to be a time when character mattered, but he had to admit that Bill Clinton failed that test, and Democrats still loved him. Van Jones says Plattner will get votes because so many hate Trump, despite Plattner's failings. And to put the cherry on top of TDS, Van Jones says Trump is responsible for Democrats accepting lower standards. Yep, that's TDS.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
Hi, it's Ken Williams, and my favorite Capriati sandwich is the Capistrami. You've got hot pastrami, melty Swiss cheese, crunchy coleslaw, and zesty Russian dressing. What else do you need? I love Capriati's, and you will too. On Manchester at McKnight and Rock Hill, and now in Creve Coeur on Olive, just 1 mile west of 270.
Yo, this is Vic. Vic for Vets is proudly honoring our veterans. Every Wednesday at 11:05, you'll hear about that day's honoree and their incredible service to our country.
Hi, it's Ken. You want to nominate a veteran? Send their name, service information, and story to me, Ken, at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Brought to you by Heroes Care, Alamo Military Collectibles, Gemini Wealth Group, Michael's Funeral Home, and Freddie's Market.
Together, let's celebrate the heroes in our community, Vic for Vets, where honor meets gratitude.
This is Mark Harder with RE/MAX Results, the #1 RE/MAX franchise in the region. As a licensed real estate broker with RE/MAX Results for over 20 years, I've seen the ups and downs of many real estate markets, including the one we're in right now. With the spring market in full swing, now is the time to leap into the buying or selling of your home. Someday is not a day. Today is the day to make your move. Call me at 314-852-8933 or email me at markhardersells@gmail.com.
Looking for a hardware store that treats you like family? Welcome to True Value Schneider's Hardware, your local gem in Old Town St. Peters. For over 100 years, we're proudly serve you St. Charles County, providing everything from lawn and garden supplies to plumbing and electrical. Need a bolt or fastener? We've got you covered. And don't forget, we're a steel dealership. Whether you need sales, parts, or service, ask for Charlie or Jerry when you come in. We're here to help. Call 636-278-4461 or visit us online at truevalue.com/Schneiders.
The news and talk.
I'm optimistic that during the summer we will see gas with a 3 in front of it sooner rather than later.
That matters to St. Louis.
The energy prices, while painful, are not going to be around forever.
This is 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Let's get back to all this madcap mayhem with Mike Ferguson in the morning. But don't forget, stick around for Jones and Arps every Monday through Friday, 4 to 6 p.m.
All right. Who had the best showing at last night's debate?
Are you asking me?
Hundreds?
I'm going to reserve judgment. I'm going to let others weigh in.
Yeah, I want to hear what everybody else has to say about that. Let us know your impression of what the candidates had to say. If you were there, if you were listening or on News Talk STL, let us know. I got to tell you something. The debate itself, I'm not going to lie. I'm just gonna fess up here. I thought, okay, it's a debate. It'll be a good thing. I'm glad we're doing it. Kind of a civic deal. But a couple minutes in, I kind of looked at you as we were panelists, and I'm just thinking something's going on here. This is turning into a thing. And that turned into, I think, what's going to possibly be the most important event of this entire campaign. Because let's be honest, whoever wins this primary is going to be the next county executive. End of story. I'm sure there's a Democrat on the ballot. Whoever that person is irrelevant. This is going to determine. And this debate not only set the tone, but it laid out the differences among those three candidates right there. So this turned out to be a fascinating debate. Yes, it is going to be posted. There is video of it. I don't know exactly when that's going to be posted, but we'll let you know as soon as we do know that. But there were a lot of different things that were debated, and things got pretty testy at times. I will say that the three candidates, 98% of the time, stuck to the issues and the policies.
For the most part.
There was a reference to something about puppies, but there was that.
About like a personal residence kind of thing.
But,
but
for the most part,
it did not really get super personal.
But it got testy. It got fiery.
It did.
And everybody got their say, and the crowd was into it. The audience was into it. The
audience was very into it.
Oh my goodness. And so this really turned out to be, I think, a lightning rod for the rest of this campaign. I am still going to argue that this race may be the most important race in the entire St. Louis region this year.
It may be.
Yeah.
It may be.
Okay, so I'm not going to try to say who I think won or lost. I'm going to let everybody make up their own mind for that. I have my feelings on that. But let's talk about maybe the strengths and then I don't want to say weaknesses, but the strengths and maybe some of the areas where they didn't do as well with each candidate.
Okay.
Let's start with, I'll just go down the line the way they were on the stage. Let's start with Steve Ellman, the current county executive. What did you think was his strength when he was debating.
He knows the ins and outs of government.
Yeah, that was my thought too.
Mm-hmm.
Is that there are the concepts that you can argue, the goals that you can argue, and sometimes you sound like the wet blanket when you say, okay, but the charter doesn't allow that. The law, here's how this works.
Mm-hmm.
This is something like, for instance, Dan, was Dan or you that asked the question about, I think it was you maybe asked the question about how are you going to assure the public that the people you appoint are going to be.
That was a question that came from the audience.
Right. Okay. And then Steve's answer was essentially a Republican, not party, but we live in a republic. And his answer was, you elect us and the county council to make those decisions. How do we know that's in the will? Because you elected us to do that. Well, that's the correct answer in that we are in a republic, but I don't know that that's what the audience wanted to hear.
Yeah, I mean, the way I interpreted the question was, okay, you're going to be appointing people to certain roles. How are you going to ensure that the people that you appoint are actually going to carry through with what presumably the voters want because they elected you?
Right.
I felt like he kind of talked around that. Yeah. I don't feel like that got a direct answer. Yeah. And I have to be fair to the candidates. The audience could hear us pretty well. Mm-hmm. The candidates from where they were situated could not hear us very well.
Okay, so I'm glad you brought that up because I talked to all three candidates about that afterwards. The audio thing,
it was the acoustics. Somehow.
And this is a phenomenal studio, but we didn't have what's called a monitor on the stage. And I actually, at times, it was a little muffled hearing the candidates over the loudspeakers. When there were multiple times the candidates said, "Hey, could you repeat that? Could you repeat that?" It wasn't that they were having trouble processing it. It was a matter of there was a little disconnect in the audio, to be fair to all of them.
To be fair to all of them. Yeah. And you said it's a wonderful setup. It's just that in that particular environment with them to our right and just a little bit across the stage, the way the acoustics work, it made it a little hard to hear one another.
Right.
And so that wasn't their fault at all.
Yeah, with Steve Ellman, the fact that he says, listen, here's how the machinery works. This is how the process of government works. I do think that was his strength. It could also be the drawback.
I was going to say,
time.
there's another side of that, and that is, okay, well, you've been part of this machine for a very long time, and you seem to just be accepting that that's the way things work without trying to figure out how you can push the envelope and make those changes that people are asking for.
Let me give you an example. One of the big issues last night was the proliferation of apartment complexes, which we'll get to that in a second here. But Bill Eigle's position is no more, stop building them. We can't allow them. These things are bad for us, et cetera, et cetera. And Bill Eigle talked about basically putting a ban on construction of apartment complexes. Here was Steve Ellman's answer to that.
We want to stop the apartments. The county can't order the cities what to do, but you all can. We have a charter. We have a charter form of government. There can be an initiative petition, or the council can put an issue before the voters asking them to limit the cities and how much apartments they allow. They can ban them altogether, but it would take a vote of all of you before that could be enforced, not just on county government, but on all the cities in the county. And that's something I certainly could support.
Yeah. I think there's a valid point there about, because people forget this. You've got the county itself, but then you've got all the individual municipalities, and there is a tension between where the boundaries lie as far as which government gets to determine which things. And most of these apartment complexes are going up in specific municipalities. They're not going up in unincorporated St. Charles County. So I think that's a valid point. I think there's a way to make that point without making it seem like, hey, look, my hands are tied. There's only so much I can do over and over again, because then people are like, well, what are we even electing somebody for if you can't do anything?
Yeah. Exactly. So Bill Eigle had a different take on that. Here's what he had to say.
I think that managing the growth plan for these apartments is critical. The reality is we've had more than 10,000 units come into St. Charles County over the past 18 years. It's changing the dynamics. We got to have a leadership team that's going to engage with the municipalities and do something to push back on all these apartment complexes. We're going to develop some guidelines, and we're going to leverage the cities to follow those guidelines by holding against them some of the funds that they get from the county right now. You want to get them to get in line? You threaten the money.
So basically, county government comes in and slaps the cities around saying, oh, you want these funds? Well, then you pass the ordinances and the zoning that we want.
Yeah, Bill's all for playing hardball.
Yeah.
And that really highlights the different approach between the two candidates, I would say.
Jason Law.
Yeah.
Very, very different approach.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was pointed out to give credit. I saw a Facebook write-up, an assessment of it. And Jason Law was basically arguing for a collaborative kind of all hands on deck, work with other counties and cities as well. And part of what he had to say was that the growth should be thought of as regional, and that would benefit everybody. Here's part of what he has to say.
Business will want to come there because it's cheaper to do their business. They'll hire more people. We'll be more successful as a community. You need to cut crime. We've seen it. I think we're starting to get complacent on it, politicians especially, where they think we don't need to invest in crime. Well, look at St. Louis City. Look at all the businesses flourishing. Look at all the top law firms leaving. Look at everything's leaving St. Louis City. We need to get together to cut crime, work together as a region to bring outside businesses back to our region, back to the whole region, because this area, St. Louis County, St. Charles County, Jefferson County, we're the engine of the entire state. We produce about 40% of the state's entire revenue. If we continue to fail, the entire state's going to fail. We need to get our act together and put in the right policies in place to bring in business.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like he directly answered that question perhaps the best as far as, what we need to bring in and what we need, where we need to be setting our sights. I still think that Facebook rundown that you read earlier, shared with us earlier, I think that guy did a very nice summation. And the bottom line is you had three candidates who, in large part, want a lot of the same things, but they just have very, very different approaches to it.
Yeah, they all argued for at least a reduction in property taxes.
Yes.
And of course, Bill Eigel is calling for the elimination of property taxes. They all agree that they are not in favor of any more apartment complexes anywhere.
Right.
Now, you may get a different answer with city halls, though.
Yeah.
But they have that. And then there was some mixed results on the data center thing. That may have been the most disagreed upon issue.
Yeah. I'll tell you my favorite question and answer was the one towards the end about what you've done personally to help somebody. That was Dan Fox's question.
Yeah.
I don't know. We don't really have time to get into it now, but I thought their answers were really interesting.
It was. So once that debate is posted, you'll definitely want to check that out. But thank you to the hundreds of people who showed up, and who knows how many people who are listening on the radio station last night.
Yeah. You know what else you want to check out? Tim and Chris live today from 4 to 6 p.m. The Republican Central Committee of St. Louis County has an open house going on at their offices in Gravois Bluffs. See the headquarters, meet members of Central Committee, and enjoy light refreshments while Tim and Chris do the show.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
He picked the wrong schoolyard to come into, I have to tell you this.
On News Talk STL.
We've talked a lot about elections. We talked about the debates. We talked about data centers. We talked about taxes. You know what I really want to talk about right now? I want to talk about donuts. Mike Ferguson here for Mario's Donut Restaurant on Mugie Road. I am telling you there is a difference. Usually about once a week, and a lot of times it's on Wednesdays. We have Mario's Donut Day here at the radio station, and I'm telling you there is a difference. If you say, all donuts are the same. No, they are not. You can go to the gas station and get that old dry sponge of a thing. Sure, you can have that if you want. It's sweet. It's got sugar on it. but it is a whole different thing when you get a great Mario's Donut. So Mario's Donut made fresh right there. Hang out, have a cup of coffee. It's a cool little vibe of a coffee shop, but also you can get your breakfast there. You can get your eggs. You can get your wrap. You can get your lunch there. You can get your sandwich. You can get your soup. You can get your dinner there. You can get your tiramisu dessert. Just go to mariosdonutrestaurant.com. Look at the entire menu. They have got you covered, and it's right here in St. Louis. So check them out on Mugi Road. Just put in Mario's Donut in your maps. It'll take you right there.
When you count on Connor, you're getting the timeless American values that have guided our company from day one. Hard work, impeccable service, and honesty. At Connor Roofing, you aren't just getting a roof, you're getting safeguarded by a neighbor who cares. When you count on Connor, you're receiving protection for your home, your family, and your peace of mind.
Visit ConnorRoofing.com.
Every 40 seconds, a child disappears. That's 2,000 children every single day. Find the Children is a nonprofit organization fighting to bring them home, but we can't do it without you. Your unwanted car, running or not, can help find missing kids, reunite families, and support the search and rescue efforts that protect children every day. We'll pick it up fast and free with a 24-hour response, and your donation may qualify for a tax deduction. Find the Children provides crucial resources to help locate missing children and educational programs that teach kids how to recognize and avoid predators before it's too late. Together, we can give families hope and bring children home where they belong. Donate your car today and help bring a child home. Find the Children, because every child deserves to come home.
800-757-1340. 800-757-1340. That's 800-757-1340.
This advertisement was paid for in partnership with Cars R Us and Find the Children.
Here's a little story about the Tiananmen Square. The people rose up and said life ain't fair. Now they're sweating in a shop making iPhones thin. You stand in front of tanks, the tanks are gonna win. Don't bring a knife to a gunfight, you lose. Don't bring a knife to a gunfight, you lose.
The Mike Ferguson Show is one of my favorite programs. In addition to Larry Connor's USA, catch my program at 6. Now, back to Mike.
All right, the three contenders for the St. Charles County executive race, they make their cases for you. I've got a couple more clips, a couple more highlights to kind of give you a feel for how that whole thing went last night. One of mainstream media's top names in news is fired. He thinks that it's going to affect our lives. Spoiler, it is not.
Other than to point and laugh, no.
No, exactly. And Cardinals haven't, listen, they're not on like a big losing streak or anything, but they have slid a little bit back in the division.
Temporary struggle buzz.
All right, 7:52 right now. Let's go ahead and do another news dump, shall we?
The Morning News Dump, brought to you by Mario's Donut Restaurant.
Successful dump. Wake up, America. It all worked out.
They get all the news.
The Morning News Dump.
All right, property taxes, data centers, and apartments. Those were among the main topics candidates debated last night at the St. Charles County Executive Debate. Bill Eigel and County Executive Steve Ellman sparring over Eigel's push to end personal property taxes.
I have yet to meet a person that lives in this county that doesn't want to see the end of personal property tax. Let's start standing up for the taxpayer.
We get to do that. Tax is a big problem. Personal property tax is a big problem. The county is a small part of that problem. And what you're suggesting would bankrupt the county.
Okay, public safety was also front and center in those discussions. Jason Law arguing for more of a regional cooperative approach to address crime because it is a regional problem.
We need to focus in on that regionalism in terms of crime, and that will help us bring business back to this region when we get that under control and people can feel safe.
That debate was hosted by the Hammond Institute for Free Enterprise at Lindenwood University. Keep sending in your questions and your comments on that. We are going to touch on this again today. A St. Louis Circuit judge sides with City Hall and against the Board of Police Commissioners in a dispute over $67 million in funding for police. KMOV's Corey Stark has the update.
A new law mandates the city set aside a certain percentage of general revenue for SLMPD. The state argued the city undercounted how much revenue they have by not including the Ram settlement money and reserve funds. But the circuit court ruled since that revenue came before this fiscal year, it should not be counted.
Okay, the Board of Police Commissioners says it is going to appeal that decision. I remember us talking about this when the lawsuit was filed the first time around, and I said then, and I'm going to stay with what I said before, this is one of those rare times I actually think that the Board of Police Commissioners is wrong, and I think the City Hall is right just on the technicalities of this and the way I understand the law, but I actually think Mayor Spencer's right on this.
Yeah, and I think it has just to do with like the source of the funding and the timing of things, not whether or not they are due or they should be better funded.
Yeah, it's. I mean, if you want to do an equivocation of your personal stuff, if somebody said, okay, Jerome, you're going to give 10% of your income to whatever, this church or this charity or whatever, you're going to think of that as your annual income and what you're making. You're not going to think of that as, okay, go dig out 10% of all of your savings accounts and your investments and whatever, crypto you have. You're thinking of the actual income. And that's essentially what you have right here, is that the law says a certain percentage of the annual revenues have to go towards law enforcement. And the Florida Police Commissioner says, oh, no, you need to count those Rams funding that has been in the settlement for years and years and years, and you need to count everything that's in the reserves as well, and the same percentage of that. I don't think that's right.
No, I don't like the Ram settlement money going towards this. It needs to go towards like our pipes and our roads and stuff.
Well, I agree with that too. Yeah, so I think that's what's at issue, not whether or not the city should fund police to a higher level. That's not an issue.
Yeah.
I just think it sounds to me like the judge got this one right.
Without having looked at it closely, that's my surface level assessment too.
Yep. All right. Let's see here. We are soon going to have some remaining decisions from the U.S. Supreme Court for this term. Pretty quick. They've got just
to the end of the month.
The end of the month to do that.
Yeah.
One of those cases could set a precedent for protecting girls and women's sports. Michael Harrington's got the story.
The justices are expected to deliver rulings in more than 20 cases before going into recess in July. One of the most important has to do with transgenderism. The High Court will decide whether or not states have the right to bar males from competing in sports against females at the high school and collegiate levels. Last year, the justices delivered a landmark ruling in support of state laws that bar children from undergoing sex change operations. Michael Harrington reporting.
All right. And, of course, this is one of those where Susie gets really, really dialed in and excited when she finds out it's a hand-down day from the Supreme Court.
Probably tomorrow, yeah. Yeah, no, these guys know. They come in and I'm like, shh. I'm paying attention to SCOTUS blog.
She has shushed us a number of times.
I have.
Yeah.
It happens. It's true.
It's a sight to behold.
All right. And a variety of LGBT pride flags now flying at the St. Louis County Memorial Park, the government park there. They planted the flags, flew them, and had a ceremony to honor all the LGBT flags. Executive Sam Page spoke at the display because he ordered the display because, of course, he did.
It's a symbol of inclusion, and we want to send a message to our LGBTQ plus community, and that message is, we see you, we hear you, we appreciate you, and we stand with you.
The display is part of the county executives and therefore the county government's official support and promotion of Pride Month.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure that the community is reassured by hearing Sam say that.
Right.
Sorry.
Of course he did. All right. The shakeup continues at CBS. Longtime 60 Minutes anchor and reporter Scott Pelley has been fired. The company says he was shown the door for cause, accusing Pelley of undermining the program's new management. Pelley's been with CBS since 1989. He joined 60 Minutes in 2004 as a correspondent. Cardinals lose their second game in a row to the Rangers. Final score at Busch Stadium was 7-4. Final game of that series is tonight at 6:45 with Andre Palante on the mound for this one. Redbirds have now dropped back to third place in the division. They are 6.5 games behind the first place Brewers.
If anyone calls or messages you about investing your money and promises quick profits, guaranteed returns, or can't miss opportunities, stop. Don't fall for the call. I'm Denny Hoskins, Missouri Secretary of State. Our office regulates investing and works to protect investors. Call the Missouri Securities Hotline at 800-721-7996 or visit MissouriProtectsInvestors.com. Paid for by the Missouri Investor Education and Protection Fund. This is a public service announcement.
Is your retirement income at risk if you or your spouse needs nursing home or in-home care? Hi, I'm Eric Robert, Director of Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money, Saturday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL 1019. The cost of long-term care is one of the biggest risks in retirement planning. For many retirees, a single nursing home stay can cause a significant reduction in assets that can permanently reduce your retirement income. Fortunately, there are affordable and flexible options available today that can help you manage the cost of long-term care. Our team can help you address the risks relevant to your retirement, including long-term care. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Belfast, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. As the vote counting continues following the California primary, Republican gubernatorial candidate Steve Hilton leads the field ahead of the November election.
To every single person who's voted for me, we're not there yet, but it's looking good.
Right behind Hilton is Democrat Javier Becerra.
Tonight, the people of the great state of California, in the greatest nation on earth, have spoken. Loudly and proudly.
Tom Sire in third place so far as the vote tally continues. Incumbent Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass is headed to the runoff in November. Her likely challenger, Republican Independent Spencer Pratt. The U.S. Iran ceasefire challenged yet again.
U.S. Central Command says Iran fired missiles at Kuwait and Bahrain but failed to hit their targets. Iran's paramilitary Revolutionary Guard says it targeted the headquarters of the U.S. Navy's Fifth Fleet in Bahrain. Retaliation, it says, for the U.S. firing a missile into the engine room of another oil tanker trying to reach Iran despite the U.S. blockade. Central Command says it responded with strikes on an Iranian military ground control station on Qasem Island in the Strait of Hormuz. It all comes after Iranian news agencies reported Tehran had stopped communicating with mediators about a ceasefire. President Trump maintains talks have not ceased. I'm Ben Thomas.
No resolution yet of a hostage standoff, Bakersfield, California. A man who claims to have a bomb is holed up in a Chase Bank building and has been talking with police. On Wall Street, the Dow futures down 207 points. NASDAQ futures 13 points higher. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Hey, John, why so glum?
I just got let go. The company's downsizing. This is the third time in the last 2 years. I'm done with this.
Have you thought about My Computer Career? I've heard they can train you for a career in IT in just a few months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI. And you don't need prior training or experience. Now that's a recession-resistant career.
Wow, thanks. I'll check them out.
Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation. mycomputercareer.edu, an Elite CompTIA certification partner.
Financial aid is available to those who qualify, including VA benefits.
On top of home and auto, Progressive protects your boat, RV, and motorcycle so you can explore the unknown.
Actually, we just take the RV to the same campground every year.
Well, maybe you can catch your own dinner on your boat.
Oh, we can actually get pizza delivered there from this brick oven place we love.
Will you at least try a new topping?
Honestly, probably not. We kind of have a go-to order.
Fine. Just bundle home or auto insurance with your outdoor vehicles with Progressive and stay protected when you go, I guess, where you've gone before. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Not available in all.
From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
Low humidity continues to be the star of the show when it comes to the forecast. Loads of sunshine today, up to about 83 degrees this afternoon. Warm in the sunshine, very pleasant in the shade. Mostly clear skies tonight, down to about 63 for the low early Thursday morning. Warmer Thursday at 87 in the afternoon, but the humidity remains low. Let's be ready for a few spotty showers Friday afternoon and evening with scattered storms this weekend. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hi, I'm Dr. Alan Link, owner of the Dental Link. You've heard ads about teeth in a day, but did you know that you will be chewing on plastic, acrylic teeth? Here at the Dental Link, we can give you porcelain crown and bridge teeth utilizing mini dental implants that function much more like real teeth at about half the cost. Plus, mini dental implants are less invasive, less painful, and your recovery time is much shorter. Give us a call at 314-794-6464 or simply visit us today at thedentallink.com.
Tim Jones here to introduce you to your new favorite roofing company, Corel Roofing. There were 4 major storms last year. Did your roof take a hit? Do you even know? Most homeowner insurance policies require claims to be filed within 1 year, so time's running out for a closer look. At Corel Roofing Company, you get a local roofing specialist who will advocate for you every step of the way. Give yourself peace of mind. Schedule your roof inspection today with Corel Roofing at CorelRoofingCo.com. That's CorelRoofingCo.com.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
You know, let's talk some military strategy for the guy who knows what he's talking about. The one and only Paul Kurtman. Oh, yeah, and we'll play the be or not to be with him Wednesday at 9:25.
Weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson.
Shut this sucker down.
Susie Moore.
I disagree on his assessment of the situation.
Get up, can't you hear the alarm? Get up, St. Louis.
You're not supposed to lie, but you're definitely not supposed to lie when you're under oath.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
All right, we're big on helping veterans around here.
Oh, yeah.
Right here in these parts. So you can run, you can watch, you can cheer the runners on, and it's all to help out our veterans and their families because it's such a unique service that's being done by our friends at the Freedom 13. All right, 8:05 right now. Got Jerome here. I'm Mike, now joined by Greg Doolin from the Freedom 13. And Greg, good chat with you again. I mean, we promote a lot of your events, and you guys are really busy because it's all about opening up these camps, these healing camps for retreats for veterans and first responders. We'll get to that in just a minute. But you've got an event coming up this weekend that is really unique and probably for the right person is going to be a lot of fun. I'm not the right person for this, I'm just going to say, but we're talking about a backyard ultra marathon. I have never seen an event like this, but there's going to be a lot of people who are more athletic than me, and they're going to go, this sounds like a lot of fun. So we're talking about one loop, but an hourly loop to see who the last man or woman standing is. This is really interesting. What is it?
Well, Mike, good morning, and thanks for having me. And, you know, I'm kind of disappointed right out of the chute. I thought with your baseball background and coming from Illinois and being such a, well, I think isn't there a placard in Decatur that has your name on it, like Athlete of the Year?
I don't think so. But I'm the catcher. I just sit back there and let them throw things at me.
Well, you could come out here, and as the runners go by and they throw their empty water bottles, you could catch those and disperse them accordingly. So
I can do that.
Yes, yeah, it's a great event. Actually, I got to give shout outs to a gentleman named Drake and his wife, Michaela, and staff that own Muddy Banks Brewery and Restaurant Cafe in Sullivan, Missouri. Drake was a Marine recon. So if you know anything about recon and the Marines, those guys like to run. I mean, they run far and they run deep, doing reconnaissance work. And so I met Drake a few months ago and just popped by his place one day and met with him. And he contacted Mark and said, hey, I've always had this vision to do this event to support a veterans organization. And he says, you're 20 minutes down the road from me. Let's host our inaugural Freedom Backyard Ultra Marathon. And we're actually hosting that out here at the camp as I sit here today, looking out the main camp house, looking out at a beautiful, serene environment, which is the purpose of the healing camp. And so Drake and his wife pretty much are the tip of the spear putting this together. And logistically, they have knocked it out of the park, and it's going to be a great event this Saturday.
Yeah, so what's actually going to happen? I mean, did I get this right where there's this, I think it's what, a 4 point something mile loop.
Yeah.
And basically the runners line up, you run that. And then at the next hour, you're running again. And so if you finish pretty quick, you might get a breather, but then you're going to keep doing this hourly thing until there's one runner left, and then they win. They're the champion.
Correct. Yeah, 4.167 miles every hour. You can run it as fast. You can walk it. You can run the flat terrain or walk the grade, the steeper grades. It's actually going to be. We've got trails completely cleared. We've had our volunteer staff out here working day and night, spraying the lanes for the atrocious ticks that we are known for having in these austere environments. And you circle around this run, and then you come back in within the hour. Rest and recuperate, hydrate, what have you. And then at the top of the hour, the bell will ring. And if you're here and you came in on your own accord and weren't carted in by a side-by-side or a recovery team, you go back out for another 4.167 miles, and it's basically the last person standing. This thing could go on over 24 to 30 hours. We've got runners coming in from across the country. We have one gentleman that actually represents the Freedom 13 worldwide. He actually runs 7 marathons in 7 days in 7 continents. And, it just makes me sore just talking about it.
No kidding.
We've got Ironman people. And, once it was social, most of these runners' platforms across the country, the participation has just caught on like a prairie wildfire. And we've got people coming to Bourbon, Missouri at the Freedom 13 camp, and would you believe it, from across the country. And it's going to be a great event and great exposure.
Okay, so is this just for elite athletes, or can those who get out and run during the day, saying I'm probably not going to win, but I want to help out, can they still get involved with this?
Yeah, Mike. So see, that fits you perfectly right there. You get a lot of steps in running back and forth from the studio to the production room, and so see, you can come out. So there's going to be people I talked to yesterday here in Bourbon that said, I think I'm going to run the first couple hours or participate or whatever. I mean, if we have enough pledgers and sponsors, we might be able to get Mark Schmitz to do a lap. And I don't know. Let's create something. Let's see what kind of activity we could get and buzz going if Mark was to participate at least in one leg or iteration of this walk run. I'm sure that we could get Mark out here to do this. Of course, he'll be out here, the rest of the team. And, anybody that's within our listing voice, there's time to still register for the run and come on board. We've got great business sponsors that are coming out, medical teams, and that type of thing. So it's going to be a safe environment. The trails have been cleared, and it's going to be beautiful weather from what I understand.
Okay, let's give out that where you can find that to register, or if somebody says, well, I'm going to come out, at least cheer them on and maybe make a donation or look around, what's the way to do that? And then I want to get into the updates on the camp itself. But somebody says, all right, I'm in, or I'm thinking about it, where do they go?
Absolutely. Just go to our website, the Freedom 13, like the number 13.org, thefreedom13.org, and just go to the link that's displayed on our main page. Of course, it's all over our socials, and you can go in and register. That's how we raise the funds to pay for the operations of the camp and continue to develop our mission here.
All right, so we're visiting with Greg Doolin from the Freedom 13. All right, we're talking about I've seen it described as the healing retreat, which I think is a great term. That's being built in Bourbon, where this is going to happen. So how far along is the construction? How close are we getting to, I guess, sort of that opening of the camp? Because you're talking about something that needs to be done right when you're going to do it. So I hope that nobody's rushing, but you still want to make it available as soon as possible.
Absolutely. So our forecast is to go vertical with 3 more houses this summer. I don't know if you heard, you might be a fan of this guy. A lot of people have heard of Kid Rock. And he happened to be in town 2 weeks ago. And Kid Rock and his manager, Corey, gave Mark and Jacqueline Schmitz a platform in front of 19,000 plus people at the amphitheater. And they played our 90-second promo, and the word got out. And then we found out last week that Kid Rock actually took the 90-second video about the camp and the mission and played it on the Jumbotron screens at a concert in Florida.
Wow.
And we had a company that builds houses email Mark and said, we want to contribute manpower, fly in, materials, the whole enchilada, if you will, and build one of the 11 remaining houses as our contribution from just watching that video at a Kid Rock concert.
I did not know that, Greg. That's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, we just found out about it, and I thought I'd put it out. So you've got people like that. Of course, you know, you're familiar with us having our gala in February, and it was so successful, and the contributions that were made, you know, small and large alike, to contribute to facilitating getting these houses up. So, and then we've got tool belt people from in and around the community, contractors. We had a volunteer work day last Saturday, and we got a lot of work done out here. We've got a new roof going on the main house. We're pouring concrete. We're getting the slabs and the infrastructure forecasted, you know, septic sewer, since we do live out here in an unincorporated area, which does lend itself to giving you a lot of freedom. And so those things are really just continuing to build. And obviously, if you want to be part of the volunteer teams and the volunteer work days, we do that the second Saturday of every month. I mean, the momentum is still building, Mike.
Yeah, I want to get to that in just a second. But in case somebody's new here and they're watching or they're listening right now, Greg, we're talking about the healing camp. Just give me the Cliff's Notes version again, because there's probably somebody who's new to the program or new to the station here that's saying, okay, this sounds great, but what is it all about? This is where veterans, their families, first responders, they're going to go when they've been through the stuff. And what is it that they get out of this? And when they say we're supporting veterans, what is it that this is offering? Because this is so unique compared to like the clinical and bureaucratic stuff that you get in other places.
Sure. Well, you know, in the military, they use the word retreat. And you know, I've been downrange in the military in the Middle East and such. And when you say retreat, there's a reason you say that. Well, we have a reason for calling it a healing camp, healing retreat as well. It's a chance for you to recoup, you know, take a knee and come into an environment such as we have out here, 171 acres, and check in on a Monday, check out on a Friday, and you come in. There's no strict schedule. We have meal plans. We have meal schedules. But we just allow you as an escape. And then what we do is we're a conduit out here at the camp for connectivity with veteran service officers to come out and maybe help you with your VA benefits package, to process that, counselors to come out and talk to you. Maybe you're having some rough times. We've got pastoral staff out here in the local Bourbon Ministerial Alliance that have considered, or not considered, they've actually come to me and said, once you're up and running, we'd like to come out and offer our services and talk with the families, because it's going to be a family environment. We'll have all these different activities, as well as the community, by and large, up and down Highway 44 have expressed interest. And once you're up and running, you know, maybe we can give you some vouchers or discount coupons, and the families and what have you can come and use some of our amenities as well. So all we are, Mike, is literally a platform for people to unplug and then allow us to help them plug into the services that they need.
All right. And once again, you've got the work days that are happening each month. What is the immediate need if somebody says, I want to help? You know, obviously you want to take donations as well. We'll put the website out there as well. But they say, I want to get hands-on here. What is it at the moment that you would need as far as a skill set, if any, that people could help with?
Well, again, it's one of those, you know, we're out here in an unincorporated area, but we want everything to code, you know, if you will, or to standard. So, you know, electricians, tradesmen, that type of thing. We've got a spreadsheet that's accessible on our website, and they could go in and register their contact information. And there's a pull down, and you can put, you know, I just want to be, you know, a laborer. I just want to volunteer. I know of a company, if you're a corporation or what have you, a business that wants to contribute to supporting veterans and their families and law enforcement and Gold Star families. This is a way for your support, your sweat equity, what have you, to invest in something that will affect the lives of thousands of veterans, because, of course, as you know, this is our flagship camp, and this will be the catalyst to go across the nation. Fox News, Mark was at a golf tournament in New York City last week, and he was the keynote speaker called the Patriot Golf Tournament. And Fox News morning folks, anchors, actually MC, Master of Ceremonies, the event, and they committed to Mark that they want to come down here this year and do a national news story on the camp here in Missouri. So we've got people large and small and whatever their capacity. We definitely have open arms for whatever someone wants to contribute.
All right, let's give out the website one more time, Greg.
Thanks, Mike. Yeah, it's thefreedom13.org, thefreedom13.org. And, of course, you can reach Mark by email on that as well. It has his email as well. And come out and visit the camp if you're ever in the area. And we have staff that volunteer after their workday. You know, the majority of our team members that volunteer out here work full-time jobs. I was out here yesterday. I'm retired from the military, but they have full-time jobs during the day, and they were out here at 4 o'clock, 3:30, 4 o'clock, and work till sundown. And sometimes they turn the lights on the John Deere tractor and stay out in the field for even 2 more hours after sunset. That's what we're looking for, those type of people, small, whatever you can do.
All right, Greg, good to chat with you again. Thanks so much.
Thank you, sir.
All right, Chris and Tim going to be out and about this afternoon doing their show from the new Republican Central Committee of St. Louis County open house. That's going to be from 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock today. That is on Gravois Bluffs Boulevard. So basically you can see the headquarters, meet the members of the Central Committee, enjoy some light refreshments. And Chris and Tim are going to do the show so you can hang out with them. Learn more at NewsTalkSTL.com. You want to get the address, the location. Go on out, say hi, and high five Tim and Chris while they're there.
Great time in St. Louis, and if you hate to paint, do what your neighbor Mr. Rob Miller from Harvesttown Auto Body in St. Peters did. He called Rhino Shield. Rob, what was the thought process for going with Rhino Shield as a business owner?
My family's business is over 10,000 square feet, and it did not have the curb appeal I wanted.
Rob, tell everyone how the experience was with Rhino Shield from start to finish.
The process that I liked was when you came out, you gave me all of these options that would fit my building. Our building was really faded. I don't want to have to paint my building again. 25 years is a long time to not have to worry about the outside maintenance of your building as far as paint. That's a no-brainer. That's why Rhino Shield worked for me.
Are your neighbors jealous?
I would be if I was them.
Thanks, Rob. Now it's time to call 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com. Genius.
No paint, don't Rhino. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Hey, it's Vic Porcelli. We're sitting here with our great friend, Chris Cooper. Hi, Chris.
What's going on, Vic? How are you?
I hear you wrote another book. This one's an e-book. Is that right?
The Business Owner's Playbook for Financial Clarity. So it is a great book for entrepreneurs. It's a very short guide. Give people, business owners, the ability to understand key questions that are important, such as succession planning, legacy planning, getting the IRS out of our pockets, right? Because do you like paying taxes?
I do not.
I don't think anybody likes paying taxes, right? That just makes sense. And then always talking about protection. And then the other thing from a business owner perspective, what is the biggest asset a business owner has? Probably their business itself, right? We need to make sure we understand what the value of that business is as well.
So this new book, I'm sure, is incredibly expensive, right? How much?
No, it's a free resource.
Oh, it's free.
We provide guidance, we provide education because we want to make sure people feel educated and understanding because sometimes you don't know what questions to ask, and we need to make sure we help arm people with information to ask the right question.
Reach out to Chris and Stacy today at SerenityWealthNow.com.
Investment advice offered through Fortis Capital Advisors, LLC. News, analysis, opinion.
It almost seems common sense, but, alas, common sense isn't so common these days.
News Talk STL.
The secret side of me, I never let you see. I keep it caged, but I can't control it. So stay away from me, the beast is ugly. I feel the rage and I just can't hold it.
Good morning, Missouri. It's your boy Joe Pags. I'll talk to you tonight at 10. But right now, let's get back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Okay, so around 8:35, we got one more chance to kind of revisit that big debate last night in St. Charles County because it wasn't even so much that there was a huge disagreement on some of the key issues. Now, there were some big disagreements on some of the key issues, but it really came down to who is going to lead the St. Charles County government in the right way so that it is the right role of government. And that really is what was amazing to me was you had three candidates who has similar views on a lot of the issues, but very different views on how government should be used.
That was actually one of my favorite questions that was asked. It was something along the lines of, how do you envision that, the role of St. Charles, like the entire county board, not just the individual? It made it more about how are you looking at approaching government, and how are you approaching getting them to work and also working with them? And I think that was a very smart question to ask.
Yeah, so 8:35. Let's get into that. We'll sample a few of the statements that were made last night. I got a whole list of audio here that we can do. And then, at some point we're going to have that posted. I'm not sure. I think it's probably going to be over on the Hammond Institute's website. But once that's up, we'll let you know where you can access that as well. 8:24 right now, this whole 8647 thing back in the news.
Yeah.
And it's back in the news here in St. Louis. I don't know if you saw this. Senator Eric Schmidt goes after a local school board president for one of her social media posts. So there's the question of, is it good or bad taste? Bad taste. I think we can all agree on that. Well, conservatives can agree on that. Leftists apparently don't think it's bad taste. But then there's a question of, okay, but is bad taste also free speech? And that's what we're kind of sorting through right now. I'm not going to lie. There's a little bit of this from the right that I'm not saying I'm concerned just yet from a freedom perspective, but I'm keeping an eye on it as a freedom of speech thing.
No, absolutely. I've encountered this myself. The same people that were upset about the Biden era censorship and cancel culture, and you can't say that, and you must do this and that. There, a lot of them that I've interacted with are doing the exact same thing right now.
Well, in this case, we're talking about looking at the statements as a criminal act.
And that's a little bit different.
Right. So here's what happened is the president of the Kirkwood School Board, her name's Judy Matika, she put a post out on, I guess it was Facebook that she put it on, and she was lamenting the fact that Stephen Colbert is no longer going to be on the air, and this was right before his show went up. And she said, I am totally in denial that after Thursday, the late show with Stephen Colbert will be over. I'm going to savor these last 4 episodes. He's a national treasure, a smart, funny guy, and all I can add is 8647. Okay, now, the Kirkwood School District is a left-wing activist organization. I think that they do kind of brag about their public school kids having decent test scores. So congratulations among public schools, you're decent. Way to go. That's a high bar, huh? But Kirkwood School District is also one of the most radically left-wing, socially engineering districts out there. We saw that under the COVID nonsense. We see that regularly with their LGBT active promotion, and I would argue grooming of kids. And so it doesn't surprise me that the president of the school board is a radical left-wing person. That's just basically to be expected at this point. But Senator Eric Schmidt gets a hold of this, and he says, and I'm quoting his social media post, nothing to see here, just the president of the Kirkwood, Missouri School Board, Judy Matika, calling for the murder of the president of the United States. No news coverage about it, just the casual acceptance of the Luigi left's assassination culture. And so the 8647 thing, obviously James Comey now is facing a criminal trial because he posted a picture of rocks that were shaped in 8647. And so you've got the detailed question from a criminal perspective, was Judy Matika or was James Comey trying to, in a coded way, encourage somebody to assassinate Donald Trump? I don't think that's what they were doing in either case. So where's that line? I actually, until I think the Comey thing, or whoever was right before Comey, I worked in restaurants when I was going to college. And so 86 meant we're out of it, or it's not on the menu anymore, get rid of it. And I always thought of it as a restaurant thing. And then I find out later that it's referred to as a murder thing, which I was not aware of.
And I had the exact opposite experience. I grew up with the meaning, like, if they find you, you're in a shallow grave, not, oh, hey, get rid of this item.
Yeah. It was the first time I heard 86. I'm working at a restaurant, I think it was Warrensburg, Missouri, or, wherever, when I was going to school. And, it was like, hey, 86 the whatever. And I'm like, what's that mean? It means we ran out of it, so you got to take it off the menu. That's what 86 means. Okay, I don't know where they came up with 86, but okay, that's what it meant. And so a lot of people, some on the left and others who are saying, okay, what we're really talking about here is they want to impeach him again. Well, we know they're always wanting to impeach Donald Trump. I mean, he gets a punch card. His next impeachment, I think his next one's free. So they're always wanting to do that. At the same time, let's be real. There's been, 3, 4 assassination attempts that we know of. One of them came unbelievably, as in millimeters close to getting the job done. Mm-hmm. So it's not snowflakery for supporters of the president or others to go, yeah, we are going to take that seriously rather than just respond in a snowflake sort of way. The bigger picture here is, at what point does government step in and say that is criminal to say something that's gross? I don't think the president, now people like this, they probably they would probably be happy if something happened to the president. But do I think she was actually hoping to motivate somebody to go kill the president? No, I don't think she was. So if what James Comey did is being investigated as a criminal act, wouldn't you apply the same logic to this social media post?
I'm taking it as more as that's their way of trying to give the finger to the president whenever they're mad about something.
Which you are absolutely, if we don't have the freedom to give the finger to the president, then we don't have the freedom.
And then I think it's going to be very hard to prove the call to action, James Comey element of it, unless you can prove that there is some known way, like that's supposed to be an activation call for somebody, or people are citing that with them and planning their attempts. So I think it's a very tricky situation.
Allison says on Rumble, I believe they were wishing somebody would kill the president. I have no problem believing that.
Oh, I do think they want somebody to, and they will cheer when they do. I just don't think that it's them trying to be the one that motivates somebody to go out and do it.
See, in these most extreme, gross sort of things, that's what tests how far freedom goes versus, okay, you've crossed the line and this is a criminal act. But we need to be really, really careful and very, very deliberate and very, very detailed when we start saying what you're saying or printing translates into something criminal. We've got to be very careful and tread very, very carefully there.
My secret side I keep hid under lock and key. I keep it caged, but I can't control it.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
He picked the wrong schoolyard to come into, I have to tell you this.
On News Talk STL. From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
Low humidity continues to be the star of the show when it comes to the forecast. Loads of sunshine today, up to about 83 degrees this afternoon. Warm in the sunshine, very pleasant in the shade. Mostly clear skies tonight, down to about 63 for the low early Thursday morning. Warmer Thursday at 87 in the afternoon, but the humidity remains low. Let's be ready for a few spotty showers Friday afternoon and evening with scattered storms this weekend. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
Fox News commentary with Craig Gutfeld. Next.
When I started skiing, I didn't think about setting any records. When I won my first race, I didn't think about how many more I might win. So when I made it to the top of the world, it never crossed my mind to stop. Being the best isn't the same as being your best. There are no shortcuts to the top, so find the people who help get you there. I'm Michaela Schifrin, and that's what Team Stiefel means to me. If you're an advisor or an investor, choose Stiefel, where success meets success.
Stiefel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Past performance is no indication of future results. Investing involves risk. Consult a financial advisor before making any investment decisions.
Craig Gutfeld describes who is protesting outside a New Jersey ICE facility.
So what you have are this unstable, unemployable group of people who lack a future and are being easily exploited by the left wing and the Democrat Party. And when they get arrested, you find out what they're about. They're mentally ill. They're felons. Some are sex offenders or sex abusers. That's what we found out recently about one of them. So the protest movement has become a very tiny concentration of these misfits who are easily manipulated because they have nowhere else to go. That is why you see witnesses will talk about this and they will look at these people and they go, you can't talk to them. They're completely unbalanced. Their eyes are all over the place. They scream at you. They say that horrible stuff to a cop, like your whole family's going to die. I mean, this isn't like Selma.
For more commentary like this, go to foxnewspodcast.com.
Something big is happening in St. Louis County, and you're invited.
Join us for the grand reopening of the St. Louis County Central Committee's brand new headquarters, and it's an open house you don't want to miss.
Stop by Wednesday, June 3rd at 794 Gravois Bluffs for light appetizers, beverage, and a chance to meet your Central Committee members. Plus, Chris and I will be there live.
Join Tim and me and tour the new headquarters. That's Wednesday, June 3rd, 794 Gravois Bluffs.
Tired of settling for generic fishing gear? Say hello to Bullseye Bait and Tackle, O'Fallon's one-stop shop for serious anglers. Live bait, premium tackle, rods, reels, and an unbeatable selection of lures from top brands like Megabass, Zoom, and Berkley. Whether you're after bass, catfish, crappie, or bluegill, they've got the gear to help you land the big one. Plus, their expert team, led by Mark and Liz, provides rod and reel repair services. Bullseye Bait and Tackle, 266 Fort Zumwalt Square, or at bullseyebaitandtackle.net.
Hey, Colombo here for Intervine, a great local company that has customers all across the country due to the quality of their products. Intervine has the best flashlights, lanterns, headlamps, and even batteries, including the new Monster 2000 Lumen waterproof lantern and the Sentinel 2000 self-defense flashlight. Our home and vehicles are full of great Intervine products, and right now you can shop their website and get 25% off your entire purchase just by using my name, Tony, as your promo code. That's promo code Tony at Intervine.com.
Whether at home or at work, you're mobile. So when you're mobile, stay mobile. Keep St. Louis's home for conservative talk with you wherever you go. Download the NewsTalk STL app in the App Store or at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Hey everyone, this is State Senator Nick Schroer. I am the host of Stand and Fight every Sunday night. Right now, let's hear more of Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show here on News Talk STL.
Okay, one of the things I think it was kind of jumping out at me about the debate last night between Bill Eigel and Steve Ellman and Jason Law is that the issues that are on the mind of the audience, certainly of our audience here, because people were sending us questions, and obviously people wrote down a bunch of questions while we were there. Dan Fox from Mid Rivers Magazine and West Magazine was the other panelist, along with Susie and I. And these are the things that are affecting the whole region right now. Mm-hmm. We've seen these debates in Lincoln County. We've seen them in Warren County. We've seen them in Jefferson County. We've seen them in St. Louis County, although the St. Louis County government is more resistant to listening, I think, to what the people actually want and need. But in St. Charles County, it is quickly becoming the economic and I would even argue the political center of the St. Louis region. I think that is shifting from Clayton, and I think it is shifting to St. Charles County, which is why I still argue that the race for county executive in St. Charles County may be the most important local race of 2026. Now, statewide, we've got constitutional amendments that are massive and huge, but I think locally here, this is the most important race, which is why hundreds of people showed up at the debate last night. So you listened. I was there on the stage. So we both took it in from different angles,
yes,
if you will. What jumped out at you, Jerome? And then I've got all these sound bites here. Just you can pitch to anyone, and I'll grab it if it comes to mind with you.
Well, I guess the overall theme of the questions is what really stuck out for me. Even though they were not all directly related to each other, there seems to be a lot of anxiety asking. It's not so much, what are you going to do to make us better? It's more so, what are you going to do to stop this from happening here?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And I think that usually in traditional campaigns and debates that I've listened to, it's always like, here's what I'm going to offer you more than the other guy. Whereas this was sort of focused around the way that I'm going to do what I can, or I'm going to implement what my experience is to try to handle and address some of these issues. A lot of really good responses, I felt. I mean, obviously, Bill Eigel's a firecracker, so whatever.
Oh, yeah.
So he had some pretty good jabs. I think Jason did very well holding his own as well. But I do think that the fact that there's a blend almost of each of the candidates in each other, if that makes sense. There are policies where
I think I know where you're going with that, but explain that.
So it sounded like with Ellman, it's very much he's thinking more in the traditional sense of governance and politics, and he's running on the fact that he's already been in office, that he already has an understanding of the way the machine works. And so Bill Eigel comes out of the gate, he says, I am absolutely a no on data centers. Ellman says, well, there is benefits to data centers when it comes to revenue. And Jason Law was essentially in the middle saying, I'm not a hard no yet, but I would like to see to make sure we have safety guards and rail before we actually make any promises.
There was, and let's, before I get into this commentary that I'm going to read that I found from another local watchdog group or news source, let's go into that a little bit. So we think data centers, maybe look at some of the differences on that. So let's see here. Let's go with, here's Steve Ellman addressing the question of data centers.
You're the one who wants to do away with property taxes. What about all the property taxes that these data centers pay? Now, the problem is they pay it to one person. What we should do is what we already do with generating plants like the Sioux plant here in St. Charles County. That and all of the high wires and everything, they pay taxes on that, but they pay it into a big pot in Jefferson City, and then the money comes back on a per capita basis to the people in the county. If we did that, think about it. I mean, everybody uses that electrical grid, and everybody's going to benefit from these data centers wherever they are, and hopefully they won't be here.
Yeah, so Steve Ellman, who gave a policy proposal as in, I think through the structure of the charter county government, we can have the health department issue a 6-month moratorium and then learn more and then decide yes or no based on the evidence and what happens in other communities by watching them. The policy proposal with Bill Eigel was, I'm against them. I don't want them here. No, period. End of my statement. Yeah. So you've got two different approaches. Steve Ellman didn't commit to saying he's for them or against them. He did acknowledge they have to go somewhere. You know, that's just reality in today's economy. They've got to be somewhere. But he did say maybe not here. I don't want them here. Jason Law was kind of, I don't know, I guess he was a little closer to Ellman's take, but he didn't seem to be a fan of them, but he wasn't ruling them out, but he certainly wasn't proposing them to be a part of what the county goes to look for. Because I had to ask 2 or 3 times. Honestly, I asked, when it comes to growth, when it comes to economic development, what are the industries, what are the types of businesses that you want to attract? It took me a few times to get an answer off that. Yeah. And finally Steve Ellman said, we should have an opportunity for manufacturing. Bill and Jason basically were saying, listen, reduce property taxes, reduce the burden of government, and we're going to attract all sorts of businesses that are trying to flee the city. I didn't get anything specific out of either of those, but I got the concept of let's make it cheaper to do business here, and then we'll attract more businesses, which economically is true. That's what they were looking at. So the data center thing was one hot point, and that was one of the areas where you saw different versions of that.
Yeah, the only thing I would really say that I would have personally think would have been beneficial to maybe have changed during the debate is allowing them to go back and forth. I mean, there were some really good, intense, and just downright entertaining moments. But they had 30 seconds to respond if they were mentioned by somebody, and then there would be a counter response. And there were a couple times where a question was asked that I was having trouble remembering at the end of the exchanges what the original question was by the time they got to the third candidate. And even a couple times some of the candidates were like, well, can you just repeat the question, because it's been that much of a back and forth. Now, it does seem like if you are a traditional old guard, if it's not broke, don't fix it sort of person, then Ellman's takes were just very much that. It was, I've already been here. I've got the experience. Things are not perfect, but they're not as bad as before. And I know the way that this works. So just bring me, your complaints, will work on it. If you are somebody that is just tired of the old way of doing things, it really does seem that Bill Eigel is trying to do that whole, I was there once, I know the ins and outs, and I'm going to come back and fight for you. And then Jason Law was actually very level-headed. He's just like, hey, I'm just a guy. I'm a cop. I serve my community. And I don't think you could really go wrong with either of those. Here's
an interesting thing showed up on my feed, and I don't know this person. His name is Ramiz Hakim. I don't know him, but he runs I guess a citizen journalist sort of watchdog thing called the Warren County Community Connector, which again I'm not familiar with. But he went from Warren County. He was either there or he listened online or however he did it. But he had a brief write-up that I don't know that I could have written anything better. So let me just read what he wrote. And I do not know Mr. Hakim, so I have no idea if he's on the left or on the right or somewhere. I have no idea. I just thought his assessment was pretty spot on here. Here's what he said. Let me just read his post. I had the chance to listen to the Republican debate for St. Charles County Executive, and there was far more agreement than disagreement among the candidates. The biggest topics of the night were apartments and rapid growth, taxes, data centers. On the issues themselves, all three candidates seemed to agree on the general concerns. Taxes are too high. Apartment developments are putting too much pressure on infrastructure and communities. Data centers prevent challenges that need to be addressed. Where they differed was in how they would tackle those issues. In the simplest terms, and again, this is Ramiz Hakim writing, in the simplest terms, Steve Ellman, county government cannot force cities to do things. Bill Eigel, county government should step in and force changes when necessary. Jason Law, county government should work collaboratively with cities to find solutions. So the debate wasn't really about what the problems are. Rather, it was more about the role county government should play in solving them. One approach emphasizes local control. One approach emphasizes county authority. One approach emphasizes partnership and collaboration. Again, I do not know Ramiz Hakim, but I think that assessment is about as on the nose, about as spot on as you can possibly get. I think he assessed that perfectly.
Yeah, that was something that was very interesting as well to listen to, is that there were a lot of agreeable moments, I guess you should say, where they can acknowledge the concerns and they have a level of understanding of why people are concerned, not just that there is a concern, but the way that they responded and I believe addressed the concerns actually, I think, demonstrated their own flavor that they're bringing. It did a really good job of differentiating between, yes, I agree, that's a problem. Yes, I also agree. Mm-hmm. It did a very good job of, I think, separating and making them feel more distinct from each other on the stage.
Okay, so did anything surprise you about the debate?
I wouldn't say necessarily surprised, I suppose. I don't know what I was expecting going into it. I've already been to a few Bill Eigel's rallies, and he's just an energetic speaker, so I was expecting him go as hard as he did, and I think he did a pretty good job with that. I did like Susie asking directly about the renters and the apartments, and I was actually surprised that as they were explaining the reasons why they're all against apartments, there wasn't that sort of, but by the way, for those of you in apartments, here's what we're going to do to help you transition out of apartments into housing. I think that would have been a very good...
Or, hey, we like apartment dwellers too. Yeah, there wasn't really an olive branch out to a lot of to the apartment from any of them. And honestly, if you're in public policy, you're tempted to say, they're probably not going to live here in a year or two anyway. What do I care? Apartment residents vote too.
Yeah, well, that was what was funny is somebody, I can't remember which candidate it was, but they made the comment or the remark akin to, it's actually more expensive for me because you live here, when Susie asked that. And I was just like, okay, that's not going to win you over the hearts and minds of some of these people.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, so it was a great night. That is going to be up for view on social media. Once we get that confirmed that it's up, we'll let you know where and how you find that yourself.
In the meantime, while we're waiting on that to come out, we're also waiting for Flashback Friday. Mm-hmm. That's our day where we play all of your favorite 80s bump music requests. But today is Wednesday, which means that it is Bump Day! And that's the day where we beg you, please.
Begging.
Please. Send me your 80s bump music request. This week's theme is going to be supergroups of the 80s and or what's your favorite collab between two amazing artists. Any genre, that's fine. But send it to me, Jerome at NewsTalkSTL.com, and let me know when you listen so you can hear your request.
Oh, Adam, you are so romantic. And I love the kitchen you found with all these great crumbs.
Yeah, baby, only the finest crumbs in the kitchen for my favorite aunt. Oh, no. It's the pest control company again with those green wheels. They always kill the mood.
This is Derek, the owner of All Solutions Pest Control. Give us a call today at 636-486-7888. We'd love to help you out. Learn more about our special $67 offer. You can visit us online at allsolutionspestcontrol.com.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness One. Wellness One is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on NewsTalkSTL. And you can visit us at INHSTL.com. That's INHSTL.com.
Ferguson, he leaps and makes a fantastic catch.
Calling all bobblehead enthusiasts.
Saturday, June 6th, as the Cardinals take on the Cincinnati Reds, fans can score a Jim Edmonds bobblehead presented by Ford. This collectible captures his unforgettable home run robbing grab at the wall, a play that still gives Cardinals fans chills. Add a defensive icon to your shelf and relive a moment that defined an era. Don't miss this one. Get tickets at cardinals.com/promotions.
Future Gold Glovers, this one's for you. Sunday, June 7th, the Cardinals welcome the Cincinnati Reds to Busch Stadium. And that day, kids receive a City Connect Rawlings glove presented by Rawlings. Built for playing catch all summer long, it's ready for backyard games, trips to the park, and every I got it moment. A day at the ballpark that keeps the season going. Get tickets now at cardinals.com/promotions.
Hi, it's Vic Porcelli.
And Ken.
Hi, Ken.
Hey, Vic.
Ken and I are on every Monday through Friday here on News Talk STL. Right now, you're listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Whoosh, my morning people.
All right, before we wrap up here, I want to play a couple other highlights and clips of that debate last night as well. 3 contenders, St. Charles County Executive, continuing our conversation from a moment ago, making their case for your vote. Also, Cardinals, slipping back a little bit in the Central Division. Not a big deal. Don't panic here. But this is a really, really competitive division, this National League Central. I mean, it's possible that 3 of the 5 teams in the Central Division could end up in the playoffs.
Ooh.
Yeah, it really is. So it's been a really fun season to watch. And the Cardinals are still well within striking distance of getting to a better spot. So 8:50 right now. Let's go ahead and do one more news dump of the day.
The Morning News Dump, brought to you by Lee May Concrete and Block. The Morning News Dump.
Are you joking? Is this a joke?
Listen, folks. The Morning News Dump.
All right, let's highlight this one more time here. Property taxes, data centers, and apartments. Those were among the main topics candidates debated last night at the St. Charles County Executive Debate. Bill Eigel, Steve Ellman sparring over Bill Eigel's push to actually end personal property taxes.
I have yet to meet a person that lives in this county that doesn't want to see the end of personal property tax. Let's start standing up for the taxpayer.
I get to do that. Tax is a big problem. Personal property tax is a big problem. The county is a small part of that problem. And what you're suggesting would bankrupt the county.
Okay, so I actually got an email just a few minutes ago asking about that. So let me see what I can probably clear up. So, Ken, thank you for your email. It said Eigel emphasized reducing the county budget to reduce property taxes. Ellman responded that the county government only gets 1.5% of the property taxes, fleshed that out for this. So basically what Steve was pointing out is that of the entire property tax bill, only about 1.5% of that is to the county government. Those bills, almost everything else, so 98.5% or so, that is to other jurisdictions, not the county government itself. Ambulance district, library district, most of it goes to the school district. So it's not what the county government actually controls. Whereas Bill Eigel is saying, I think we can get rid of all of them. And Steve Ellman was arguing that we only have this one little part of it. So that's one of their disagreements on what to do about property taxes.
Taxes are complicated.
They are.
That's really, I mean, I don't.
The harm of them is not, but the policy is.
Well, because in theory, I would like you become more prosperous when you keep more of your money. So reducing and eliminating taxes that come straight out of your check before you even get to see them. I think I want to get on board with that. And same with property taxes. You should not be paying taxes on something you already own. That's ridiculous. But at the same time, I mean, the way that it's split out, is it really going to have that much of an impact on their budget? Or is this something that they can say, we'll find another way to support it?
Yeah, I love the idea that all of the candidates were agreeing the property taxes have to be at least reduced.
Yes.
That's a good thing. And that's a pressure that's happening all over the place. People have had enough of them. Also, public safety, also front and center in those discussions. Jason Law arguing for a regional cooperative approach to addressing crime because crime is a regional problem.
We need to focus in on
that regionalism in terms of crime, and that will help us bring business back to this region when we get that under control and people can feel safe.
Okay, so the debate was hosted by the Hammond Institute for Free Enterprise at Lindenwood University. So thank you to everybody who was there and who were listening on the radio as well.
I've been seeing a lot of discussions around this in general. So this is definitely something where you're going to want to find the audio when it comes out and share it around. Just have these conversations.
And those clips are going to be all over all the candidates' ads too, I guarantee
Yes.
them. Okay, a St. Louis Circuit judge sides with City Hall and rules against the Board of Police Commissioners. It's a dispute over $67 million in funding for police. KMOV's Corey Stark has the details for us.
A new law mandates the city set aside a certain percentage of general revenue for SLMPD. The state argued the city undercounted how much revenue they have by not including the RAM settlement money and reserve funds. But the circuit court ruled since that revenue came before this fiscal year, it should not be counted.
Okay, so the St. Louis Board of Police Commissioners says it is going to appeal that decision. Now, there's two different things. Don't conflate two things here. This isn't a matter of should the city be forced to spend more money on police. They should.
Yes.
What was at issue here is that state law, as Corey was just saying, says that of those annual revenues that the city gets, a certain percentage by law must go to police.
Mm-hmm.
The Board of Police Commissioners says, okay, and also we want to include every penny that the city basically has in reserve right now, including the Rams fund, and apply that percentage to that requirement as well. I don't think the Board of Police Commissioners is right about that. I think the mayor is right about that because I think the law says annual revenues, that's what you're doing, not your savings accounts.
If it was maybe like a dividends, like a yearly dividends thing,
Well, you could
from
argue
the
that.
Rams, then I would say, okay, let's look at it. But the Ram settlement should not count as revenue, and that should
Right.
not go towards anything that is going to have an annual budget. It should be going towards like the essentials that are going to be big projects that need to be done.
Yeah, so I get the Board of Police Commissioners wanting to get every penny to repair all the damage of the defund the police, but you do it within the law. So the city rightly should be forced to spend more money, but I just think in this particular case, I think the mayor's right. And
Yeah.
I don't say I think St. Louis City Hall's right that often. I just think they're right on this one.
No, absolutely.
Now they should be rushing to try to fund police a lot more. They're wrong when they fight it,
Mhm.
but I just from a legal and a financial perspective, I think they're correct. Okay, Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass advances to the runoff election. Now, who she's going to face is not confirmed because the vote totals haven't been announced yet, but early returns indicate that Spencer Pratt is likely to be the other candidate. As of early this morning, they were still saying they had about 56% of the votes cast in that race, or of a counted race. At this point, it appears that socialist Nithya Raman will finish third. But again, though, those results have not been confirmed at this point, and California could take who knows how long to get everything counted and into place. In the California race for governor, Republican Steve Hilton has the most votes of all of the candidates, at least at the latest reporting, which, again, not final by any means. The partial results show a likely runoff between Republican Steve Hilton and Democrat Javier Becerra. Congresswoman Katie Porter got 4.5% of the vote, despite the fact that she is a complete, utter raving lunatic. She still got 4.5% of the
Wow.
vote. Yeah. Oh, man.
Jeez.
Just nutty.
Every time I think about how bad my life is, I'm glad I'm not stuck in California.
Oh, good Lord, yeah. All right, a variety of LGBT pride flags now flying at St. Louis County's Memorial Park. County Executive Sam Page was there to be part of the ceremony.
It's a symbol of inclusion, and we want to send a message to our LGBTQ plus community, and that message is, we see you, we hear you, we appreciate you, and we stand with you.
So the display is part of the county executive, therefore the county government's official support of Pride Month.
Alrighty, well, hello to them, I guess.
Yeah, whatever. All right, the Cardinals lose their second game in a row to the Rangers. Final score at Busch Stadium last night, 7-4. Final game of that series is tonight. First pitch is at 6:45. It's going to be thrown by Andre Palante. Now, the Redbirds are back to third place in the division. They're still 6.5 games behind the Brewers.